All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. We are here on a Wednesday night, jumping on about a week before the NBA draft at this point. And, we will, of course, I don't know, maybe just randomly over the next couple of live streams, who knows? But, I guess us personally as well, too. I guess, as we've always said before, our fandom of the NBA is, of course, in some ways a reflection of our fandom of the Spurs as well too. So in the past really decade, of course, we've been hyper focused on the draft because San Antonio's been hyper focused on the draft, or maybe San Antonio not hyper focused on the draft the entire decade there because that goes back 2016. But even still, as a fan base, there was a couple of years where it's like, hey, maybe we need to be hyper focused on the draft. So, again, the idea of us being on the YouTube, seeing who's going to be in the upcoming, classes there, who is going to be the best fit with San Antonio, what does the team need at the time as well, too, like we even said before, how we view the draft gets affected by who is on San Antonio. San Antonio obviously right now has the superstar type player in Wembanyama. That is going to cover up a lot of different needs in a lot of different ways. But now you're maybe able to draft a little bit more skill set based players, if that makes sense. Guys with individual skills, guys who might be a little bit more productive in a bigger picture, as well too. I mean, go back to like the Lonnie Walker draft pick for San Antonio, a handful of years ago. That's a guy that maybe you just get into the team, regardless, he's so talented, you have to draft him, but he had that potential to be a little bit more of a, creator guy. Like he was maybe going to be a guy that could kind of run an offense. I guess, I don't know, maybe he might be a little, a little bigger than Maxey. I don't know if he is, or it's just the haircut makes him taller. Maxey's definitely a little faster. Lonnie Walker might be more explosive. I don't know. Again, Maxey's the better player, so I guess are you just gonna think of him as the better athlete? But Lonnie Walker, crazy athlete, has had some injuries though, as well too. Hey yo, Lonnie, where's Lonnie Walker at? Call in. Hey yo, Lonnie Walker update. But what are we saying for? Again, San Antonio this year. The drafts is just a totally different thing. I don't even know if we have our pick going into the draft as well too. Let's double check. Hey, yo, let's see what we got going on. We got Atlanta's pick, but Cleveland has got our pick. So, in a classic NBA draft scenario, everybody 15 through 23 is just not their own pick, but everybody probably has a pick this year. I guess, does it say teams without picks? It usually does sometimes. Oh, maybe not. Maybe in the mock here it says, I guess we could do the math as well too. Hey yo, maybe not. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe every team does have at least one pick this year, because I feel like they usually do list that out if there was a couple. Because again, in the NBA, of course, you could make trades and stuff for that could happen. You only have the 2 picks baseline every year. The NFL, the idea that a team would have 0 picks, I don't even know if that's just possible. Compensatory picks as well too. You'd probably at least get 1 or 2 of those. But again, San Antonio, I guess the 20 because we're not actually trading up in the draft, but somehow we ended up our pick moving up from 29 to 20. So that is a little something. That is a little something. We're back, chat. Hey, Koa Pete, our guy Koa Pete. We started this entire, I guess, draft cycle. I don't know if we say draft cycle, but yeah, the college basketball season, obviously shout out Michigan, reigning champions, but we do have that also as a prism that we are watching the college game through is, just that NBA mock draft standpoint as well too. Chris Senek Jr. is the power forward that they have mocked right now from Houston to San Antonio on Tankathon. So I guess pivot chat. Hey, yo, we're going to spend all night watching Chris Senek Jr. highlights on YouTube and see if it's worth the mock draft pick. Hey, yo, we've got somehow the defending champs at 24 as well too. Hey, it pains me to say it, but it is weird. Again, I mean, what was I? Maybe it was Budden, maybe it was somebody else. I forget. Oh no, it was a Zach Lowe short I was watching. Shout out. Zach Lowe can call in as well too. Can we get who did we say earlier on the who are we gonna get on the line, chat? Hey, yo, I forget. At this point, oh chat, what a bummer. Hey, yo, that poor guy, we were just saying what was up with him. but now we don't even remember who it was. But I don't know if, sad stuff. But Zach Lowe, ayo, shout out. What were we saying? There was a short that he had, and it just goes to the larger conversation of this Knicks playoff run, and we're trying to take away from it still. But what are we saying? There is that statistical thing. He was saying that the only, I guess I'm not going to remember the exact, quote word for word of the stat, but the way it filtered out was the teams that were, at the top of the stat was the 2017 Warriors team that won the finals, like a couple of different MJ teams, and then like a Lakers team and a Celtic, like a Magic Lakers team, a Celtics Lakers team, and a Shaq and Kobe team as well too. So again, like the 6 greatest playoff teams of all time that we, 6 greatest teams of all time that we've had as well too, because that specific, playoff team filter would lean toward New York in a sense. But like we said before, we do also have to remember that the Eastern Conference was a little bit weaker as well too. I mean, I'm pretty sure MJ would not have lost a game. How many guys would not have lost a game in the Eastern Conference this year in the playoffs? Check, Charles. I mean, shout out to Charles. But Charles Barkley, chat. Charles Barkley would have been 12-0 Eastern Conference playoffs. Nobody in the East this year, I think, would have stopped Charles. That would have been tough, chat. Like a prime Charles Barkley. And is what it is. I guess that could be part of our 2020 or our 1996 redraft. Is how many of these guys would just have ripped through the Eastern Conference this year? I guess maybe the Wemby matchup would have been maybe not. I guess I don't know. But I don't know if Wemby gets better playing against Kobe and Iverson. But rest in peace, of course, to Kobe as well too. But I don't know if that makes Wemby better, but I think that there is a lot of guys from the 96 finals that could be ripping right through this Eastern Conference this year. But it is still, again, obviously impressive the way they dominated. Pause. They had good stats. You got to give them the credit there. But again, in the finals, they literally were losing every single game. So it's not like it was a great, great team. The Warriors, again, like that's a great team, Jay. You want to talk about great basketball teams, that's a great team. And I mean, it's not even a conversation. I feel like that happens in college football. I was going to say college sports, but maybe college football specifically, where a team will win the national title. Then it's like, okay, is this how would this team compare against that team? And, we had a run there as well, too, end of the teens with some of the Bama, Clemson teams, and then immediately that LSU team right after that. I mean, the Columbus school as well, too. I think may have gotten one in there as well, but pause. But, there's just a lot of really talented all-time teams at that point. So there was just that conversation. It was like, oh, this 2019 LSU team versus, what Miami team, what Florida State team, whatever. But it just seems like every year somebody wins. It's just like, oh, this team would get smoked by that team. This team would win that team. Oh, this team's not even close to that team. I guess Georgia a couple years ago as well, too. The year they were undefeated was a little team with that conversation as well. But again, I don't think you really get that with this Knicks team. You get the bravo with the great accomplishment that they had. But you don't necessarily get the, would this New York team beat the 96 Bulls? Again, I guess, chat, now, at what level do we doubt Brunson? AI Brunson's gonna, is it like Space Jam with AI, chat? Are we giving out ideas over here? I don't know. But Brunson's gotta, I guess we're tweaking it a little bit because it's like AI is still like the versions of the players, but I guess the Monstars are the versions of the players in some ways, right? As well too, right? But there is a little bit of a, a little bit of a Venn diagram overlap between the Monstars and then the NBA player themselves that the Monstar is, I would say. But if it was just more like a, again, would Brunson, would it have to be an AI Brunson versus an AI MJ? Would it be, old Mike? Would this be the next Netflix matchup? Old versus new, chat. We get Brunson a one-on-one matchup versus Michael Jordan. I mean, make no mistake. How many viewers did the Logan Paul, Mike Tyson fight get? Let's see here. Logan Paul, Mike Tyson viewership. I think maybe Logan Paul tweeted out about 125 billion people watched, but we'll see what the actual thing was. 108 million, obviously, we're, Jake Paul, we're making a joke saying he would exaggerate, but what are we saying? 108 million, I guess, maybe at some point, got there. The main event peaked at 65 million global streams with 60 million households tuned in globally. So apparently in 5 million households, there was other devices being played, I guess. Is that what they're saying, chat? I guess that's pretty good. 65 million global streams, 60 million households. So this is like old school TV. This is like 60 million people gathered around, 60 million houses where people are gathered around the TV watching Tyson versus Jake Paul. Is that what they're saying here? I don't know how Netflix has these stats. I guess Netflix is just like, do our TVs have cameras? Netflix just like watching us, just go, okay, count the people in every living room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But 108 global millions as a matched boxing match streamed on Netflix drew a record-breaking. So I guess maybe afterwards as well too, after it was posted, the fight garnered an average minute audience of 108 from the from the opening bell. So like people tuning in throughout the fight, and then the Tyson, because the whole card. So people 108 million throughout the whole card, and then 65 million concurrent during the actual Tyson versus Paul fight itself, is what they're saying. With 1 day of delayed viewing added, a total audience reached an estimated of 125. So if it's Brunson versus MJ, chat, can we get to 200 million worldwide views? I guess 150. Right? 150 worldwide million viewers for, I guess there is obviously that debate of like, oh, is the fight just the best single sporting event, or like the best, but do you say just like the, the most high intensity? But an MJ one-on-one basketball game with MJ and his, is he a 60-year-old guy right now, chat? Hey, yo, I guess we don't want to, expose MJ, but what do we got? 63, chat. Hey, yo, 63. So MJ at 63. And I mean, MJ could still probably hit some jumpers. There was one clip I was seeing of him in the park where some kids were like tempting MJ to shoot a free throw, I think. I don't know. And he was like, oh, I'm kind of nervous. I haven't shot a basketball in a long time. And he was like genuinely excited when he made it. I don't know if we can like find this clip. This might be like way in the archives. We're looking at people's home videos of like, hey, I ran into MJ on the street, and this is what our Instagram algorithm is. I don't know, but there needs to be. I don't know if this is a page, but I wonder if this is something where it is like people's old home videos of just like, I was filming one day in Denver, and it's like down walks Dan Issel down the street. Like I don't know, when did we have camcorders? I guess we'll have to see exactly, when all that stuff happened. But I feel like there might be an Instagram page there. I mean, speaking of AI, we're gonna start AI generating old clips of like, oh, look at this, Moses Malone on the streets of Houston back in the day, or Ralph Sampson. Oh, here's Ralph Sampson and Hakeem in the same club. Like, I feel like we need more. Well, and I guess I'm not saying like certain things, certain image, videos and things, public videos and images. Maybe some of those need to stay, private again, even if they are public, if that makes sense. I don't know if we need like, certain NBA player making out in the, the booth with this. It's like, wait a second, what was the scenario going on here? Maybe some of that stuff. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like there is like a home videos type of situation that could happen there. Because we kind of underestimate, I think, how much people were filming back then. Like, we do now say that, everybody's got their phones out recording all the time, blah, blah, blah. I guess just people had the camcorders out. That's all it was. Yes, I guess you couldn't play Angry Birds on your camcorder, but that still didn't, people were still carrying it around. They still like filming the videos. And I was watching, again, I don't know what's AI. I don't know what I guess you could just make a video today now too, and just like, aspect ratio, put a little filter on it and be like, oh, now it's 1980. But and maybe that's what this was. Again, I really have no idea. But it was supposed to be like this kid in 1980s, like shopping at a gas station. And he's like, how many things, you could buy for $1 in like the 70s or the 80s or whatever. And it's like, oh, he buys, like 4 pieces of candy and a soda for $1. It's like, oh, you can, you have a whole meal, feed a family for $1. But, if we all split the soda, that's like a shot. Everybody gets a little piece of candy and a shot of soda. Like, we're good. You could have really, gone a long ways with $1 back then. But, the power of the dollar, I guess there's that's the 50 Cent mixtape, right? Power of the dollar. I guess we have to look that up now just to make sure that we are getting that right here. Power of the Dog, 2021 film. No. Power of the Dollar. Yeah, album by 50 Cent. I don't think this is on Spotify, but there may be some songs from this. I guess I don't know this track list specifically, but it is one of those. Oh yeah, How to Rob, obviously. Hey, speaking of, exposing chat. Hey, yo. But obviously, iconic first project for 50 Cent there. Debut EP, I guess. Because yeah, I was gonna say technically Get Rich Die Trying is his first actual album, for debut album. Guess Who's Back, first official mixtape. And then 50 Cent is the Future, second mixtape, but that's where he's with G Unit. No Mercy, No Fear, another mixtape, God's Plan, third mixtape, and then I guess Get Rich Die Trying studio album after that as well too. Is it, chat, like, hey yo, is it like when Ben Simmons was like in the Rookie of the Year conversation, and it was, I think he did win Rookie of the Year, right? But it's like, oh, Donovan Mitchell's actually a rookie. Ben Simmons, he had a whole year of sitting on the bench in the NBA. He's not a rookie. It doesn't count. But it turned out that was actually the one award that Donovan Mitchell's like, he needs to win that one because Ben Simmons apparently not, getting a lot more awards after that. Hey, yo, sorry to Ben Simmons. We hate to say it, but, I was going to say, hopefully his back's doing okay, but that's a pause, chat. Hey, yo, that is pause. So, we'll just wish him luck elsewhere. But, hey, hey, yo, pause. But what are we saying for Power of the Dollar? Oh, I guess 1980s videos. I just feel like there is more videos of athletes and celebrities again in the wild, like we're saying, appropriate videos. I don't know. Or speaking of, like, still you get like celebrity tours now that'll go by, and it's like, oh, the celebrity tour bus pulled up next to Denzel Washington in the car, and Denzel's like saying hi and being cool to like everybody in the tour bus. He's like, hey, and everyone's like, oh, Denzel. And I feel like we have those, but we just need to see them. I guess as I'm speaking it now, I'll report back on the next live stream, because as the phone is listening, as it's sitting right over here, it's like, okay, I'm just crafting the algorithm as you speak. Say no less, say no more, say more, whatever. But hopefully our algorithm is that now. I don't even know. Again, there's so many celebrities, but you don't even know where it could be some random sitcom actor, it could be some side character on a movie. It's just like Joey Pants in line at a Panda Express somewhere. Like, I don't even know when that would have been. When was that store invented? When was that restaurant chain? I don't even know what the right term for it is. Like, when was that fast food place invented? But again, I don't even know if it was invented is the right term. I guess you probably do invent orange chicken, right? You don't, I guess, do you invent food? Is that what happens? Like, if you make cookies for the first time, like, is that, I guess that's what you say, right? The inventor of bread is like a thing. I guess, we don't know who invented bread. Sara Lee, chat? Hey, yo. But, yeah, I guess it would be inventing of food. I guess. Is there like, again, something like ketchup? Like, yes, yeah, you invented that. Chicken nuggets? Hey, yo. That's starting to borderline an invention there as well. But what do we say in chat for? I don't even know. We're talking about food at this point, but hey, yo, and 50 Cent albums, but and MJ versus Brunson matchups, I think, is what we were saying as well too. Oh yeah, and New York had the 24th pick in the draft, which does again seem a little bit low. Seems a little bit lower for a champion than in recent past. And I guess maybe is some of that part of super team era in a way. The Thunder were a built super team. Like they were a drafted one in a sense, a drafted really good regular season super team. But obviously there's just been a run of really crazy kind of, talent getting assembled together in these, regular season things. But, still even 24 is, a little lower than normal. But what are you saying? Knicks, overrated, chat. Overrated championship. Redo it. Redo the finals. Hey, yeah, what else are we doing this summer? World Cup, chat? I mean, it's only a couple of games a day. We have time to replay the finals in there. I don't know if that's ever, well, we know it's never happened before, but it doesn't seem like unprecedented. Replaying like a random regular season game, maybe. But replaying a final series, like, yeah, why not? Again, it's the end of the season, so if you just have to run it back, it's not like, oh, then the Spurs have to play one more series after that. It's not like you're redoing the Western Conference Finals. That's set in stone. That turnout was, right there. But, yeah, I guess at the 20th pick in the draft, we're still able to really pick up some good talent here. And obviously with the second apron situations, with the way the salary cap is, functioning now, you just need the guys to be your rotation guys in a way. I mean, you've always needed the talent that you've drafted to be good on your team, but you sometimes now maybe even need more of that sure thing than the swings in the past that you could take on. Okay, this guy could be, this guy could be a best player on the team, 25 points a game if he hits, but maybe he's not even going to run the offense if he's not quite, hitting shots the same efficiently. But maybe now, again, you need more of a baseline sort of talent just because of you need these guys to hit in a more, pause in a more desperate way. Hey, yo. But, or like the AJ Mitchell situation as well, too, where now you have, then a favorable contract, leverage sort of ordeal as well. But I see our guy Koa Pete is at 27 to Boston. So I don't know what is happened with his draft stock that he's fallen off that far. I mean, Boston apparently going to get Giannis. Do we have to talk about Boston Giannis real quick? We might have to, because it seems like those trade rumors are heating up. And obviously, the draft's being right around the corner as well, too. If Milwaukee is going to move their pick, and the team that's going to get it is going to want the leverage over it, then, of course, obviously, we're going to have to, lock that in the next week here or so. So it is crazy to think that Giannis could be on a team. Like, we kind of do. I don't know if the NBA world is on, like, hey, are we on high alert? And maybe some of the Giannis stuff. Wait a second, chat. Wait a second. Maybe some of the Giannis stuff is, been really drawn out at this point. Like, we've been knowing that the Milwaukee relationship, this might honestly be like one of the slowest deteriorating. I almost said celebrity relationships, but it kind of is. This might be one of the slowest deteriorating player relationships that we've had. I'm trying to think, maybe, again, like, okay, this guy was there for 12. I guess Giannis kind of has been. But so I guess, again, like, how much longer does a guy have to be there for it to be a guy getting traded at the end of his career? There is, that class of superstar player that has the random 1 to 2 years at another team that they, Pat Ewing, Hakeem, Tony Parker, something like that. Like Tony Parker, I think maybe, I'm trying to think. I don't think it was all just contract stuff. I think he wanted to go play with, he wanted to go be teammates with, some of the French national teammate guys. And I think maybe the coach was involved there as well, too, at the time. But, there was some outside, I think, basketball forces that influenced his decision to go play there for one season. But he might have gone back, and I think it might have been kind of financial as well too, if I'm thinking about it. And then maybe just like out of spite for that, he's like, well, then I'm just gonna go play one season in Charlotte. If you're not gonna pay me, then I can still go play somewhere else. But again, regardless, that's just a little bit different of the superstar guy, having the leverage to go demand a trade, and obviously in this era now as well too. But it has honestly seemed like, maybe I'm being dramatic, like 5 years. I don't know if it's been 5 years of Giannis winning it. Has it 2020s? Because again, he won the title in 2021. So in 2020, I guess 2021 was the year they did win the title, right? So did the year they win the title, were they having trade rift type stuffs then? I don't know. But definitely the last, including this one, easily the last 3. Maybe the last 4 seasons. Or was it 21-22 was Golden State. Right, and then 2021 is Milwaukee. We always get this wrong, chat. Oh, yeah, 21-22 was Golden State. So maybe, yeah, the season right after, they did kind of start some, some title stuff or some trade stuff for Giannis there. But, again, it does seem like now there is a timing thing for it as well, too, of timing sort of the trade and the vibes of the player. You don't want your play, you don't want your basketball guy to like have that bad vibes run where now he's just sitting out games and stuff. I mean, this is where the James Harden trade obviously went there for Philly, and a lot of his other trade destinations as well too. He was making moves to make sure that he was not getting traded, or he was not moving at all, no exercise, and then that's how that was the move that he made. Chat. Hey, James Harden, he was playing 3D chess the whole time. They're like, James Harden, you need to make a move to get out of Houston. He's like, no, what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to move at all. And then I'm gonna get fat. Hey, I guess I have a chat. We tried lately, but anyways, for Giannis, this has been like a multi-year, obviously slow decline for him finally wanting to be like, oh, maybe Milwaukee is not it. 13 years in Milwaukee total at this point. Hey, chat, I keep spilling this drink all over the place. I almost paused. Somebody loaded this one up, but hey, Hey, but and we could obviously have once Giannis gets traded, the greatest, I guess, Milwaukee Buck conversations as well too. Him and Kareem in terms of who was the better player to play for versus who was the better player for the franchise, obviously. But yeah, it does seem like he's going to be in Boston in like a little bit. Do we have to just hit the hoops hype here real quick to see what is going on? So I guess it would be Kevin Love to reunite with LeBron on the Lakers, chat. Hey yo, Kevin Love is gonna. So the Lakers aren't winning the title this year. It is what it is. I mean, shout out to Luca though. We obviously anything could happen. He's definitely crazy. They have Wembanyama as the sixth best player in the world right now, behind Durant and Jamal Murray, but also behind Jalen Brunson as well. So maybe the list is, or in front of Jalen Brunson. So maybe the list is not totally accurate all the way. Wait, what are we looking for here, chat? Ayo, rumors. We're just trying to find some rumors. See what's going on. Dolan. Ayo, I feel like after 25 years of doing this, I might have actually learned something. He hasn't. He hasn't. It's Leon Rose. It's the people around him. That's all it is. Okay, Chad. Okay, James Dolan taking the victory lap. I don't know. He tanked the team for 2.5 decades and then has one miracle season with Brunson. And James Dolan's like, I'm the man. I'm the man. Who would have thought, Chad? Who would have thought James Dolan taking credit? Is he going to write a song? James Dolan, write a song about it. Let's get the band performing at the... Can the band perform at the parade? Is there going to be like a... is the band going to be on the first float? James Dolan just leading the parade, just scoring it with his band chant. Hey, yo. I mean, what are we doing? But yeah, it doesn't seem like we have any immediate Giannis rumors jumping off the page here. Let's see if we go to Milwaukee specifically. Maybe we can see it a little bit better here. Booker changing his number, chant? Ooh, breaking news. Hey, yo. Oh, Giannis's contract. Miles' Turner's contract. Lillard's contract? Kuzma. This is updated, chat. 25, 26. Hey, are they still paying Lillard? What's going on there? Wait, do we have rumors for Milwaukee? I don't know why this is so hard to find. Pause. Hey, so difficult to find Milwaukee-centric rumors. I guess there we go. Giannis is not going to get traded at all. Is basically what we're saying. Should we go and just see the news page here? Real quick, off-season entrance survey. What could happen? Giannis contract. Insider 3-team trade idea sends Jaylen Brown west before Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Celtics. So, and I guess there is I guess we could see for contract purposes here for why they would need to bring in the third team. To me, it reads the third team is Milwaukee, trading Jaylen Brown and then getting other assets back for that instead. So, the Celtics, are you going to get anything better in a Jaylen Brown trade than Giannis? Probably not. But if you're Milwaukee, you're basically taking, hey, with all due respect to Jaylen Brown, you're basically taking less back on a Giannis deal, essentially, if that is the move. If the move is, I guess, and we'll see here again, if the move is 1-for-1 on the Boston-Milwaukee side of it, Giannis for Jaylen Brown, which I don't think it would be. There would have to be something else. Again, it would just be, we're trading it for maybe somebody with slightly less trade value, and then just taking the assets back from that. So yeah, it would kind of be that, honestly. Jaylen Brown's at $57 million right now. The apron space is going to make it difficult, but he is underneath Giannis' salary. So I think that helps. Yeah, so you could do this. You could do Giannis for Jaylen Brown straight up. So again, if the trade is a 3-team trade and it's Giannis goes to Boston, Jaylen Brown goes to Milwaukee, or I guess, Jaylen Brown goes to team 3, and then all of team 3's assets go to Milwaukee. It's basically, again, the Jaylen Brown trade to that team, not the Giannis trade to that team, if that makes sense. So if you felt like you could get more for where Jaylen Brown's at right now than Giannis, and maybe there is something to that as well. I don't know if they would know that specifically between those two guys, but maybe there is a weird Giannis market at this point. Honestly, Giannis would have one for anybody, but again, it is that timing thing of Milwaukee. If they had traded him a season and a half ago, a team is easily putting up like 6-7 first-round picks. It just doesn't matter. They're throwing everything that they have at Milwaukee to get Giannis, it becomes, arguably the biggest trade in NBA history. Giannis becomes one of maybe and he still is one of the best players to, get traded if he gets traded. Like one of the best players when they are traded to get traded, if that makes sense. But again, it just even 18 months ago, it feels like just the rush pause to bring him in. AO would have been crazier. So if you feel like because of where Jaylen Brown has been at the last couple of postseasons, healthier, a little more successful, I don't know if maybe teams would value some of that stuff a little bit, health, AO. But I don't know if they would value his game more than Giannis's game at this point. But again, it's going to need to be a little bit more than this to me if this is the trade. Now, I don't think that there can be aggregation here, if that makes sense. Stacking players together. You do have, I guess both the teams do have second apron space. So they might actually be good once, with this off-season view of of everything. So I guess, it could be like I guess maybe this would have to be it. So, again, you would have to be either being like, okay, this is a good team that we have now, like I like it, or spinning more of these guys off for more assets. But if it was Kuzma for Derek White, type of situation, that's going to be a $10 million difference. This might be starting to get a little too crazy at this point. Giannis and Kuzma for Derek White and Jaylen Brown. And again, is Derek White the best version of himself right now? Oh, okay, it does work. It does work. Again, this trade is a little more even according to the win plus thing. Only -1 to Milwaukee, -7 with Jaylen Brown. No disrespect to Jaylen Brown, but the win percentage calculator did not like the trade. Giannis just for Jaylen Brown. But this one, you do, of course, and Kuzma's an expiring, so the Celtics, there's like a, legit reason to do that if you're bringing in Giannis, obviously, because you don't have the long term. So Turner would be the other one. Turner would be the long-term play there at $26 million, and that's even just more even as well, too, if the second apron does become a little bit of an issue there. Yeah, only a $2.2 million salary difference either way. So this is not a bad, baseline situation. You get out of the Turner contract, 26.5 to 3 years there, and then, Jaylen Brown for Giannis is pretty close, ad as well too. So you could probably get the same. Could you get the same amount of first round picks essentially for Jaylen Brown and Derek White that you could again for Giannis? Because I don't think you're probably getting any for Miles Turner. With all due respect to Miles Turner, and then yeah, I would say, are we pro Miles Turner? We're not anti Miles Turner. So hey, chat, maybe in the modern NBA landscape, just not being anti Miles Turner is, probably good enough there. Pause, but. Yeah, otherwise, Kevin Porter, $5 million. It's just not that much of a risk at this point. It is starting to get a little bit more farther away from some of the major contracts and some of the book log jam stuff that they were having issues with there, with the with the Middleton contract, with Lillard on his deal, with some of the other stuff. Now again, you have Turner there as well too for a couple of years, but especially after this season when Kuzma and his contract is up, like it will, obviously the light will be at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, Giannis just will, have been traded at that point as well too. But again, I guess what would the third team be for Milwaukee? What are you going to get for Jaylen Brown and Derek White for Giannis? And obviously there is the trade request portion of it as well too. If Giannis is specifically desiring Boston, but just the winning team element as well too. Like, yes, could you get more first round picks for Giannis for somewhere else? Maybe, but again, is Giannis going to want to go to just the team that is throwing in the most first round picks? I don't know if that's essentially the case, but again, with the modern NBA, we hate to repoint it out, and maybe we'll only mention it lightly just because we're basketball journalists, but we won't expound on it because we're competitive basketball journalists. OKC has a lot of assets as well too. But San Antonio. Now the problem is I don't think De'Aaron Fox played himself into a Giannis trade situation. Maybe he did for San Antonio. I don't think he did for Milwaukee, unfortunately for the San Antonio fans. But we would have to really start gambling and taking back salaries at that point, or they would just have to really, again, believe in the picks as well too. But I don't think that that would be start being smart as well. Hey yo, we're gonna start like Vassell and De'Aaron Fox for Giannis and Turner just to throw it out there. Like I think we're starting to get a little too much at that point. Again, Giannis is Giannis. We love Giannis, but Vassell is great this playoff run as well too. You're gonna need depth at some point. Maybe you don't if you have Giannis and Wemby. Pause. Hey yo, but again, I think it would have to be more. Giannis would be one of the players that I'd be okay with cashing in, the picks for, if that would be something that the other teams would be willing to. I guess Charlotte. I don't know the Charlotte picks scenario, but we're just talking young teams. Did I see Portland? I think maybe we have mentioned Portland before. I don't know if I saw them in headlines as a sleeper team. Maybe Atlanta as well too. Golden State chat. Do we have to just look at Golden State real quick? Giannis and Curry. Is it even a possibility? Giannis and Jimmy Butler for one season of Jimmy Butler. Hey, yo. And I don't think Golden State has the picks to be able to balance it out. I guess they have their first, but stipend rule, I think that they're gonna probably. I guess the rule isn't that you have to have like a first and a second each year, right? It's not that you have to have at least one. It's just that you have to have at least one every other year. So you could trade your pick in 27 and in 29, and then I guess and in 31 as well too. So you could go 3 first round picks, and Jimmy Butler for Giannis is probably not quite enough. It's probably not quite enough. You probably need a little bit of obviously, I guess pods. Hey, yo, chat. Whoa. Look out. And we're talking about, the trade for the trade. You probably would get more for Jaylen Brown. I guess we got to be careful. You probably would be able to trade for more for Jaylen Brown than you would for Jimmy Butler, if that makes sense. But, I think that if you could get pods too, maybe would that be enough? I don't know if pods is quite taken that lead guard type of trajectory. Did we say that right? That lead guard type of trajectory that maybe he showed a little bit of potential there. I mean, he can definitely lead an offense, but I think he's a little bit more of a third guard than he is, again, like the number one point guard on a team. But he would be a good ad if they brought him in. I mean, again, you're not going to be worse bringing in pods, but unfortunately, Giannis might not be in Golden State first step there. And I guess Miami was also considered a team. Again, the hero rumors about Tyler Hero's brother posting the GIF of the deer, meaning that maybe Tyler Hero was going to get traded to the Bucks. But again, if you're the Bucks, with all due respect to Tyler Hero, are you doing that trade? And I guess he does need a contract as well too, chat. That is just a tough scenario. 33 million this year. I guess the only reason that might be the reason to trade for Tyler Hero. It's like he's on an expiring. If we can get picks and Khalil Ware? See, then you could start. Then chat. Then you start at least maybe reconsidering what the potential could be there for what could be involved. Hero and Khalil Ware and Hawkes and some picks for Giannis. Like, that is something. You could go 2026 first, on draft night, I guess, because you don't have your 2027, so you can't trade it now. But you could go 2026, 29, and 32. Can you trade the 30? Let's see if that's possible. Maybe just the trade part of it as well. We don't really have to throw in the contracts here to see if the stipend rule would apply. But and I guess it will say that it will probably let us know if they could trade it on draft night. But Hero was also, I guess we said, going to be in the trade. And Hawkes, who also needs a contract. So I guess you're not going to pay everybody, but pay Hawkes and Khalil Ware, and then maybe trade Tyler Hero at the deadline as well too. I don't know. But 3 picks and 3 players is 6 pieces enough for. Is a 6 for 1, pause enough for Giannis? I don't know. Is that enough production to match Giannis's production? But let's see if this trade is even possible. So it is failed. Let's see here. Miami would have a player, blah, blah. Consecutive years, 2026 and 27 would be missing. So yeah, I guess they can trade their 32 round pick out as long as they have that 31 on the board to keep the stipend rule active, up until what's available. So it says the Bucks are unable to do this. Oh, cut 43. Oh, did we not trade? Oh, we didn't trade. We didn't actually trade Giannis too. Oh, chat. Hey, yo. Imagine. What? It's not a trade. This is a heist. Milwaukee went in and just took Tyler Hero. Hey, yo. It's a kidnapping almost. Hey, yo. But I guess, hey, yo. But what are we saying for how, NBA business dealings usually go? There is usually players involved for both teams there. But if we put Giannis in the trade, it still fails because of the stipend rule. Cut 3.7 from Miami. So Miami would need to have one more player. Pell Larson, maybe? Is it 2-2? Oh, Casparanis, chat. So it would just have to be, the total core there. Casparanis, Jaquez, Khalil Ware, and Hero, and 3 first-round picks. Now, again, would you be a competing team if you're doing this? Now, hot take. Hey, yo, chat, hot take. I don't think you're much worse. I think that there is, again, Khalil Ware, really good long-term asset. You're probably, you're going to have to figure out some of your guard spot as well, too. Davion Mitchell, not bad, but obviously Kasparunas, Hero, and Jaquez are going to be hopefully all creators for you this next season. Kasparunas, obviously, are we saying Kasparis? Casper. Do we just keep calling him Kasparunas? I think so. Kasparunas. Shout out. I guess we wouldn't be disrespectful, but we could call him, Jack Yakonis as well too. But I guess that's kind of how you say his name, right? Chunis. I guess it's Chunis, right? Jack Chunis. Jack Chunis. Hey yo, chat. Hey yo. I don't know, but it's a lot. It's just a lot to get. It's a lot to leave the team in a trade. And again, your lineup is still okay. You're losing a lot of depth, but Giannis, Bam, Wiggins, Jovic, and Mitchell as a 5 is like not bad. Again, is it good? Could it win the East? It probably could win the East this year. If Giannis and Bam were awesome, could Bam have played as well as Karl Towns did? I think he can. I think Bam can definitely get there. And can Giannis play as well as Brunson can? I mean, again, it's a different type of game, obviously. But yes, the impact can be the same as well, too. I guess Wiggins, compared to Anunoby. Jovic compared to, Bridges, yeah. Would be Mitchell compared to Josh Hart. Josh Hart as well, too. Obviously elevated. Maybe those 3 guys, as they showed, is part of the reason why they also won the title as well, too. But you're not much worse off. Again, the picks thing obviously does hurt as well, but it's something. At least if you want to get him in the jersey, like you could probably make the move if you had to. But is Cleveland still in the second apron, chat? Hey yo, you want James Harden for Giannis? Pretend it's a couple years ago. Pause. See what they want to do for the trade there. But Chicago, chat. Hey yo, Giannis, can he take over for MJ? Nobody's called him the MJ of the league, but maybe Josh Giddey. Can you build a Giannis trade around Josh Giddey, chat? I mean, Bulls would have nothing for Giannis to go join. I mean, with all due respect. Oh, Dillingham? It's going to be Dillingham, and Matas probably has to be in the trade, though. As well, Leonard Miller. Hey, yo, chat, this is going to be a tough lineup for Giannis. Giannis is going to be out there with Trey Jones, Dillingham, Leonard Miller, and Noah Asenu. Oh, man. He's going to be requesting another trade right away. Pat Williams. Yikes. I guess Chicago probably not going to be the move. Yeah, not Brooklyn as well. Denver, I guess the idea of him and Jokic playing together. Pause. Would you do Murray for Giannis, chat? Would Milwaukee do that trade? And Denver doesn't have any picks as well, so there's no future stuff there. Braun is pretty good. If you had a more surefire way to get a better player, like if your draft pick was like number 3 this year, you were bringing in Boozer or something like that, maybe Peterson and Braun next to each other, like it makes more sense with him next to a good player, obviously. But as the centerpiece of the trade, it starts to, get a little weak. I guess Toronto is kind of a sleeper as well, too, just because they have a lot of names and a lot of contracts to throw out there. Brandon Ingram is 28. So, he's 3 years younger than us. It's not like you're really getting a whole timeline reset there with Brandon Ingram. Scotty Barnes, 24. Can you still be the face of Canadian basketball if you play in Milwaukee? It's kind of close. But unfortunately, if he moves out of the country, I think Giannis probably becomes the face of Canadian basketball at that point. RJ Barrett, Giannis, Pirtle, Grady Dick, and Colin Murphy-Boyles. Is that team going to win the East, chat? I don't know. Pirtle's not a bad, fifth man. But hit Barrett as your number 2. He doesn't have the number 2 on this team to battle with him. I guess Brunson, did he have the number 2? But he did have the number 2 scoring in each game, though, even if it was, a little bit of a different player as well. I guess, Edgecombe for Giannis in a move is probably not gonna happen. I guess would they consider taking back Paul George's contract? And again, you wouldn't just give up VJ Edgecombe to get Paul George's contract off the books for Giannis. And, are you bringing Kuzma's an expiring. So again, if you're going to, move up the timeline 1 year for Paul George there, it's kind of not quite enough. I don't know if it would give you more flexibility in the season, though, if they broke those contracts up a little bit. But Giannis and Embiid, or would it be taking the Embiid contract back, really? And then just keeping Paul George as, obviously a wing player there as well too. But then, you lose Edgecombe. That's, probably not ideal for what Sixers fans want after the season was so much, fun just being a competitive team for them. Minnesota, a little rebrand, trying to, maybe I guess not go back to the, 2000s, but still, gotta get a fresh look, I guess. The Western Conference Finals runs haven't been enough for him this year. Gobert, or last couple years, Gobert for Giannis. Randall, not a one for one trade, obviously, but just as something, Milwaukee fans get ready to be bumped out. Minnesota holds swap right with San Antonio. Oh, San Antonio holds the right swap with Minnesota. Never mind. But Minnesota can still trade this pick because, again, it still will get drafted. It just, San Antonio can potentially control, pause where the pick is at. So no 27 first round pick. So again, Minnesota would also have to be a draft night move as well too, because of the stipend rule. They can't trade 27 pick now. Oh, and they don't have the 29 pick as well either. San Antonio again, draft rights. Is that conveying or is that just extra as well too? San Antonio with the swaps, Chad. You love to see it. But yeah, maybe McDaniels would be interesting. Maybe you're getting there, Chad. Again, the problem is you don't have the picks. You would have no way to help continue to build the roster out and, bringing in a sort of win now-ish type wing like McDaniels. Unless you really thought McDaniels could be a 25 a point game guy in his own right. He is 25 years old now. So I don't know if he's quite shown a number 1 scoring option or even a, I don't want to say number 2 or number 3. He has the ability to, of course, get points off the ball. But I don't know if he's quite shown be the lead offensive guy for stretches enough to, would you take a swing there? That is interesting, though, if we were just talking about who are the crazy swings. And I guess, again, Charlotte, it just seems like Giannis would not play in Charlotte. But I was actually talking to our neighbor the other day. Shout out to Mr. Bill. Oh, but he's a Charlotte fan. So he was, of course, saying his condolences about our San Antonio team for losing to the finals. Rest in peace to the Spurs finals run this year. But he was also, hey, Charlotte, obviously trending in the right direction this year. Obviously ended the season 2026 regular season as one of the hottest teams in the league. But, LaMelo for Giannis. Would you do LaMelo for Giannis? It is in the more interesting logistical trades. Again, obviously the cities. I guess Giannis is playing Milwaukee now. Would he want to go to Charlotte again? You wouldn't think this team would be ready to win the East now, but if he was looking at the Spurs model, maybe I want to be with a sort of rookie contract based core, if that makes sense. Again, Knuppel I think Knuppel is legitimately good enough to be a number 2 player on a title team. So again, you're just thinking about where am I going to go where I can get traded, but that guy is still going to be there. Because if they have that type of potential, like we're saying, they're most likely going to be in the Giannis trade. But you have a star in LaMelo who has enough name value to carry a trade, but his contract, he's been around enough as well too. His contract is going to get way more of the trade percentage than Knupple's rookie deal at this point. I mean, yeah, Knupple's at 10 million. So you're going to have to start finding other contracts to throw in there as well too. The team's going to get too depleted, and LaMelo and Bridges is starting to get quite the hefty trade as well too. I guess they just have a ton of space, so they might be able to honestly just do this trade. I don't know how accurate this trade machine is right now. Okay, 7. We need to cut 7.2 from this Charlotte trade, so nothing too crazy. I guess saloon chat. Hey, yo. So this means Milwaukee's probably throwing back a contract the other way. Again, Kuzma's deal is expiring. So now Charlotte's taking on $78 million in contracts. But I could see Charlotte getting Kuzma. I mean, hey, yo, you're getting Giannis. Like, you got to kind of do this trade. But could you get, like, AJ Green or something as well, too? Rollins is probably not going to be tradable. Yeah, Jericho Sims is, he's good to stay in Milwaukee there. So you could get Saloon as well. I guess they're going to have to cut more because we just gave him 20 million. So, hey, yeah, that might not be logistically the right move here. I guess Bobby Portis, 2 years, 14.5 million, 31 years old. Like, that's a good, he might be like your 9th man, 10th man, play, once every 4 or 5 games. But if you need him to check into a playoff game for a couple minutes and change the energy, like, he might be able to kind of make that happen at some point. And then, oh, wait, we have Grant Williams here for an expiring. We're missing the Josh Green contract as well, too. Like, that's just a number that you can, I guess, be respectful. But I'm just saying, like, that in terms of some of the minutes that you're going to have in 2026, I feel like you could probably go in there confidently without the Josh Green minutes. But let's go Grant Williams just because, right? Hey, yo, Grant Williams and LaMelo in the trade together, chat? Pause. Grant Williams is like, we're buddies, right? Because we were both in Charlotte together. And LaMelo's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. But you get Giannis and Bobby Portis for LaMelo and Grant Williams. And then does Charlotte have to throw in picks there to get Giannis as well, too? Oh, this trade has also failed. The Hornets are 10 wins better by bringing in Giannis. So this trade definitely works out. I'll cut $4 million from the trade. So really it just is LaMelo and Grant Williams then. So if that's the case, then probably LaMelo and Josh Green. Is Grant Williams? I guess you have to kind of trade Grant Williams if you're bringing in Giannis, right? Hey, yo, wait a second. Grant Williams, he's traded back to Milwaukee because he had that shot against Giannis in the playoffs, but I don't know if they get along in general. So you've like, okay, we have to get, a Giannis rival off the team to bring him in the trade there. And that, I guess, simple math does make it pretty even. So you could do this. Again, Hornets, 9 wins better. I guess, what did they win, Chad? I guess in theory, is Giannis worth about 9 wins? That could be true if he is, able to be healthy enough to play a good chunk of the regular season. I'm pretty sure Charlotte was able to get to 500, but that would, I guess, get him to a 50-win team if they were hovering around there. They were 44-38, so 9 more wins puts them as a 53-win team. Hey, yo, Charlotte's going to win the title next year, chat? Hey, yo. They would have been the 3 seed in the East, 53 wins. New York, I guess we had them at 52 wins this year, but they would have been right behind Cleveland. They would have home court in the East next year if they won, again, 53 games. And obviously, I guess it's makes more sense saying it out loud as well too. They would have home court in the East if they had Giannis. Like, yes, it does seem like if Giannis again is healthy with a decent roster, that would be the case. But I could definitely see this being an interesting team. Would Knuckle versus Brunson? Then he's like Brandon Miller versus the wings there as well too. Like, I think it is pretty close if you were just trying to take a team that hasn't been there yet. And maybe you don't get the same sort of, again, franchise, like, oh, Giannis saved the Charlotte franchise the way that Brunson did with New York. But, you get that title ring, which would be pretty important there. The Clippers, nah, we're good. I guess Dallas is an interesting one as well, too. You hate to say it. But if he could play with Cooper Flag, again, Cooper Flag goes the other way. I don't think you would put Cooper Flag in the Giannis trade because Cooper Flag might be... Does Cooper Flag have higher trade value right now than Giannis? Like, that'd be something interesting, I guess. And if I'm just thinking about an easy trade in my mind as well, too. Like, who would, I guess, the Spurs be more likely to give Wemby up for? Giannis or Cooper Flag? Cooper Flag because he's in his rookie contract right now. So you just have more, timeline franchise flexibility there with the career, hopefully for Cooper Flag. But obviously the basketball talent of, of Giannis is definitely there as well too. But just because, again, of the fact that Cooper Flag is a newer player to the league. I think maybe you would just get some more first round picks because of that as well too. So they wouldn't necessarily have the roster around, Cooper Flag maybe at this point as well, but you could maybe get the deal together if it was PJ Washington and Clay, and you would probably have to be Gafford at that point. It's just too depleted. Too depleted. So again, it might be Boston if they feel like they have to trade him and if they feel like this is their one option. And, again, no disrespect to Jaylen Brown. Like, I feel like you can still get a really, really good trade for Jaylen Brown. It is interesting to think who that third team would be, though. If it would be a third team actively pursuing him like that, or, again, they are, bringing that in for logistical sake to make the trade make sense. But Jaylen Brown in New York, Chet, hey, yeah, the title team gets better again. We hate to see that. Detroit, the 1 seed. I guess Detroit could be a sneaky Giannis spot if they go with Chet Tobias Harris. They should have traded him this offseason. No, he was good for him. So you gotta appreciate the season that he had. But I guess it could be Duncan Robinson and Stewart, and then Levert is at 45-ish million. So maybe not quite enough there if they put those three guys in a trade for Giannis, and probably not enough for Milwaukee as well too. But as I'm going through the league again, maybe this is making more sense than I was giving it credit for initially, because it is one of those things that once you actually have to think through the logistics of the trade, and then what are the teams going to give up? Where are they at as a team? What does Milwaukee want? Where does Giannis want to go? Like, it does start to get, the list does start to narrow, obviously, the more filters you put on the list. But at this point, again, it may be kind of like a self-fulfilling filter prophecy down to the Boston team, if that is actually how it is going to end up here. And it'd be a weird sort of not crash and burn, but it'd be a weird tumbling end for the Tatum Brown relationship teammates era, when it felt like that was definitely one of the teammates era situations of the league there for a long time, and that it would kind of be that for a little while more. But I mean, that's the whole point of the NBA, right? Is just the randomness. It's like right when we thought we had something, something else is gonna switch over. Giannis to Houston is maybe something. Sengun, chat. Would you do Sengun for Giannis? Ooh. Ooh, you got Fred VanVleet, 1 year, 25 million back off the injury. So who knows how effective he's even going to be in his 1 year on the deal as well too. Dorian Finney-Smith barely played for him in the rotation. I feel like you would kind of have to, just based on the defensive prowess alone. Like, it would be interesting giving up a 23-year-old Sengun and being like, okay, our team is now 32-year-old VanVleet, 31-year-old Giannis, and 37-year-old Kevin Durant. But just on paper, that team sounds obviously pretty fun. But yeah, Capella 24 PER 3. Well, that's maybe where I'm getting confused. Is looking at some of the PER stuff. But either way, speaking of draft, we do have other draft stuff to look over tonight as well too. We have to go back and pay homage, remember, revisit the 1996 draft. It is, of course, would be the 30th anniversary of this draft. So on the eve of the 2026 draft, the 30th anniversary of the 1996 NBA draft, and more right after this. All right, Chad, here we are, the 1996 NBA redraft, 30 years later. And of course, standard NBA redraft, we could just go through and focus on the 96 draft. I did have a thought today when I was driving home, and I was like, hey, should we just redraft the whole league from 1996? I don't know if that'd be too much. Like redrafting the whole league with the order of the 96 draft. So, Philly would have the number one pick of everybody in the league, which could be crazy. Hey, But I guess, for now, with the draft right around the corner, we will at least start off by focusing on the actual draft itself. Of course, chat, we remember it just like it was yesterday. I tell you what, the 90s, the mid 90s, everything was great. Presidents just getting sucked off under desks. Well, I guess the 96 draft was pretty good as well too. But I guess obviously you got to talk about the star of the draft first. The number one pick. I mean, obviously was one of the stars for sure, but the guy who ended up becoming the star of the draft in Kobe, obviously going 13 to Charlotte. I mean, you had the whole storylines of, what would you draft like a, high school player at that time? I guess we didn't. Did we have recruiting rankings back then as well too? Like 1995, recruiting rankings. I don't even know if this was a thing because, for football maybe. Perspective by Brady, number 6, pro style QB. Is that Tom? Hey, this is Michigan. Hey, Woodson, number 2. Number 2, his number? Or number 2 safety as well. But the 1985 college football recruiting class was dominated by Texas, blah, blah, blah. Texas held the consensus number one class closely by perennial powerhouses, the Columbus School, Alabama, Michigan, Texas A&M as well, too. But we want NBA, or no, actually, basketball, just in general, basketball ranks for that year. 1995, here we go. Does 24/7 Sports have the list? Oh, chat. Hey, okay, they don't. I didn't think they did. But top 100 high school players, 1995. Here we go. Is this a list that we can look at? That looked like, oh, chat, look at this. Oh, this is what we were talking about earlier with, like, can we just, like, see more home videos and people, like, just, like, hey, what are we, Brian De Palma over here? But, just what random basketball artifacts and things, do you have? I guess Kevin Garnett was number 1 in 95. So am I looking at the right year here? Because you do have Marbury as well, too. So wait, is Kobe on this list at all? Let's see. Do we have a newspaper screenshot for every single year? I guess he would have been on the radar at this point, right? So even if he would have been next up for the class specifically, I don't know. But Shamgod Wells, chat, 62. Tyronn Lue, 81, a sleeper. Obviously, pretty good NBA career there for him. More iconic coach, more iconic other highlights, but still, managed to have a good role player run there in the league for a while. So yeah, it was Garnett, Mercer, Robert, Traylor, Vince Carter 4, Paul Pierce 5. Is pretty stacked. I mean, Garnett, Carter, and Pierce as 3 of your top 5 is insane. And I mean, Mercer won the national title, if I'm not mistaken. So that is a pretty good guess there on those 5. And then Marbury at 6, Albert White, Jelani McCoy, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Lewis Bullock is your 5 through 10 there. Kind of some, maybe more specific names. Sam Oakley, Derek Hood, Kenny Thomas, Ricky Moore started to, maybe again get into the weeds a little bit here. Pause as well. But it doesn't look like Kobe was on the radar. So again, there was some international play that he had there as well too. I don't know exactly the timeline of when he played, but he was at Lower Merion. Iconically, the jersey, of course, you can get is just one of the great basketball jerseys that you can get, in general, AO. And obviously, again, rest in peace to the absolute legend. But in terms of, let's see here, the early life, do we have to go early career? Years in Italy, 87 to 89, I guess. And then in high school, when he was 13, they moved back to Philly. Lower Merion He played on the varsity team as a freshman, but the team finished with a 4-20 record. Hey, yeah. The following years, they compiled a 77-13 record, with Bryant playing all 5 positions. During his junior year, he averaged 31, 10, 5, 3.8 blocks, and 2-3 steals a game. Named to his 4th parade All-American, considered playing at Duke, Michigan, North Carolina, and Villanova. I mean, Kobe at Michigan, Chad. Hey, yo, that's obviously where he would have gone, right? The Lower Merion to Michigan pipeline has been paused. Obviously for basketball has been, well established at this point. His skills and SAT score would have ensured admission to any college, but he did not officially visit campuses as well. Earned the 1995 Senior MVP award while playing alongside future teammate. At the ABCD camp, he earned the 1995 Senior MVP award while playing alongside Lamar Odom. While in high school, the Sixers coach John Lucas invited Bryant to work out with the scrimmage, where he played one-on-one with Jerry Stackhouse in '95. And Jerry Stackhouse was this when Stackhouse was 30 a game? So we've got a high school Kobe Bryant. Oh, this was like his. I guess he wasn't even in the NBA yet at this point as well too. Wait, was he the 95 draft? So the year before, 3rd overall pick. So he's either just a rookie or just in the league. So he was 30 a game, I guess, later, 2001, right at the turn of the turn of the century there. But still, 20 points a game in the league right away. Obviously, super productive player. But as a senior, I guess, and that was as a junior as well too. So we do need to look at the 1996 rankings. But it was good to see the 1995 ones, I guess, there as well. And Marbury is in this draft, I guess. But is that because he went to school for a year? I guess we go back and double check that as well too. 1996 recruiting basketball ranks, headlined by Kobe, Tim Thomas, Jermaine O'Neal, Mike Bibby as well. Top recruits revisited, basketballforum.com, Garnett again. Oh, here are the top 20 freshman prospects. Oh, wait a second. Okay, this is the list we just looked at. We had the Derek Hood, Albert White, Lewis Bullock run here. Taman Demolsky, followed by the fine line of Greg Newton and Joey Beard, top front players in the mid-90s who Coach K busted. Whoa. I don't know. That might be a pause or not. It says, wow, what a difference from the top 7. Seems like the scouts did a good job identifying the great ones from this class. 18, 19, 20, Chauncey Billups, Antoine Jameson, Kenny Johnson. It says other top 50 players that were in the first round: Tim Thomas, Vonteego Cummings, Courtney Alexander, and that's it. It says, as for the seniors that year, here are the top 20 consolidated 5 recruiting services. So maybe, again, I just don't know where Kobe was on that list. But according to this basketball forum post, I mean, Kobe was the number 1 overall recruit back in the day. Hot take. But Tim Thomas, Lester Earl, injuries. It says injuries head case. That's the question marks here. Again, we're just reading that. Jermaine O'Neal, Ronnie Fields. Oh, quote, sad story. It's parentheses, sad story. Mike Bibby, Mateen Cleaves, Corey Benjamin, Winfred Walton. It said cheater, went to play for Tark. Oh, this guy must be a fan of a certain team. So apparently he doesn't. Steve Stark. Oh, no, not Steve Stark. He's in Jerry Tarkanian? Is it the name that I'm thinking of? Wait a second. Let me look at the name here. Jerry Stackhouse. Tarkanian. Tark. So wait, he was the coach for, let's see here, coached college basketball for over 31 seasons. 5 decades. UNLV was the team that he coached for. So for whoever wrote this forum post, not a fan of UNLV because they think that this guy, that Winfred Walton, is a cheater. But Shaheen Holloway, Charles Hathaway, Jason Collier, Jermaine Walker, Gerald Brown, I guess other top 100 players that ultimately win the first round: Richard Hamilton, Desmond Mason as well too, dunk contest guy, Kenyon Martin, 76. Honorable mention, Sean Marion. Top high schoolers, juniors: Shane Battier, number 1, Lamar Odom, number 4. Okay, so there's Odom, I guess. And again, this is just a forum post. Sophomores, this guy was really doing the research, chat. Now this is just getting concerning at this point. It says, isn't there something wrong with ranking 14, 15-year-olds? Anyways, I mean, this forum post is currently actively participating. Jarian Rush. So, chat, what a look back in history. 1996, Jarian Rush was the best 14-year-old basketball player in the world. I guess shout out. Ronald Curry. It says, have a lot of respect for this guy who became the most overrated recruit in 2 sports. Truly a super flop. Hey, yo, I didn't know that that's where that was going. Oh man, shout out to Ronald Curry. Respect. But Jason Chappell, UNC had such low returns in these two. Oh no. Corleone Young. Hey, yo, we had a basketball player named Corleone Young. How do we not talk about him more? How do we not have more people named Corleone? I guess the influence of The Godfather probably has just lessened. Like, the people that are naming kids now aren't like Godfather fans. Hey, yo, it's gonna be a bunch of Tony Starks and Steve Rogers. Hey, yo, but what do we say? Corleone Young. Where is he now? Did he see any time on the floor in the NBA? Corey Maggette, Jason Taylor, Ernest Brown, Tony Kitchens, Michael Wright, Travis Robinson. So I guess, obviously the rankings change apparently from sophomore to sophomore, from, high school to college there. But it does seem like Kobe was relevant in the rankings either way. So the drop to 13 is obviously, and yeah, it was like an All-American. So it was, obviously just that. But it is a little, I was almost made a crazy comp, chat. Hey, yo, is it like, what is the line between, again, him being, I guess, Dwight Howard, the number 1 overall, or Garnett as well too. Maybe the center forward, position on the court is the line there. Pause. But what is the line between him being that type of guy where you're like, oh well, we were just drafting him straight out of high school? Like, that's almost a benefit, to have that much just career to be able to build a team around a player like that. Or to say that, like, this guy is just, again, like, such a we don't even know what he's going to be for his career. That we're just going to take a guy that's maybe a little bit more set in stone for what he is at this point. It's somewhere between Anthony Simons and Kevin Garnett. It's somewhere between that, because I guess Anthony Simons is more of a guard, and I'm trying to think of who has even had that jump. I guess Shaedon Sharpe there as well too. The Blazers kind of, going the alternate pro route for a couple of athletes, and the leagues has obviously just directly changed the rules, so you can't really go. LaMelo, I guess, would be the other one. So LaMelo would be the example, I guess, of like the modern guy who was really hyped up, but maybe not facing the best competition, or had some maybe not direct pipeline to the NBA from college, if that makes sense. Because again, it's different. He still has to have the year away from the high school game. So again, Kobe, just the timeline's going to be different there. But in terms of the direct league that he's, entering the NBA from, pause, it is maybe a little bit more similar there in that respect. But hot take, 13 probably too low for Kobe even the night of the draft as well too. Like, he probably should have gone a little bit higher. What a pick for Charlotte, chat. Hey, do we have to go back and revisit? Oh, was it Divac? Vlade Divac was the trade? I mean, this run here, again, obviously the names, number 1, Iverson, Marcus Camby, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Stephon Marbury, and Ray Allen. Obviously, hindsight 2020, Stephon Marbury versus Kobe Bryant. There's no debate, with all due respect to Marbury. I don't even think there's like an individual season where Marbury was better than Kobe Bryant. Again, like, I guess maybe Allen could have had some, playoff moments or something. Allen as a side kick type guy next to, Kobe. Though Kobe, if he was a number 2, I mean, I guess, he was a number 2 next to Shaq. He was pretty good himself. But, Marbury night of the draft, again, that makes more sense. But once you get Lorenzen, I guess, again, I didn't see Lorenzen right. Kerry Kittles, I think, was pretty good at Villanova. Maybe 9. Maybe like Samaki Walker, Eric Dampier, Todd Fuller, Vitaly Pompatenko. Maybe that run of guys like Kobe should have probably got drafted there. And again, you see just this next run of players as well too. Kobe, Peja, Steve Nash, Tony Delk, and Jermaine O'Neal. Like, that's just the ebbs and flows of the draft, obviously. I guess maybe not like every, not every set of 5 players is, this distinctly playable or not. But, regardless, he probably there should have been a risk taken there a little bit sooner at some point. I mean, Philly at number 1, of course, is one of the obvious, what if situations, because again, in the redraft, Kobe obviously goes number 1, so that would be the redraft team that he's going to. Does Philly get any franchise points? Do they get like a half a title for being the number 1 team in the Kobe right now? It's like, yes, we didn't actually take him, but in a redraft scenario, we would have. So do we get something there? But again, obviously the hometown situation as well too is definitely a very realistic scouting connection as to why they maybe should have had more info there. But again, Iverson was just and again, I'm not going to sit here and act like we're going to speak on the entire Iverson topic of conversation as well, from, what was going on in terms of, again, what was just in the evaluation process there in 1996. But you can't deny that Iverson was just a bigger star. Again, do you say a better basketball player than Kobe in 96? I mean, he was probably a better lead guard in the NBA. Again, if Kobe was playing that season, that senior season in high school, but if that was just a season reclassify, I guess kind of like Cooper Flag, if he was reclassifying and then playing at Michigan for his freshman year, again, does he go number one is obviously the question, but is he viewed as a better guard than Iverson, which is kind of, again, hand in hand there. But if you get what I'm saying, where maybe he goes, I guess, 2 or 3 or whatever, but is it just the level of competition high school thing that, like I'm saying, is what is obviously the main factor there. But I think as much as that is a fun what if to discuss, again, Iverson is one of the great players of all time, one of the beloved Philly athletes of all time as well too. It'd be different if, again, Iverson was just a guy. Like, I don't, no disrespect to Steve Nash. And I guess Iverson did have that carry a team to the title season in a way that Steve Nash kind of didn't for Phoenix. But I do think that Iverson is probably a little bit more beloved in Philly than Steve Nash is in Phoenix. Are the Phoenix fans going to rush to the defense? Like, they will, for sure. I'm trying to think, what's a San Antonio comp? San Antonio, we just, the legends. It's like a Fast and Furious barbecue. Everybody just gets along so well. But also, everybody's great as well too. Like, Steve Nash is definitely better than like Bruce Bowen, but maybe like LaMarcus Aldridge. Maybe like how the Spurs fans think of LaMarcus Aldridge, where it's like Spurs fans love LaMarcus Aldridge. He always played his heart out. Was a great player. Is like sneaky one of the best free agent signings that San Antonio has like ever had, if maybe not ever. But again, I don't think. Well, I guess, I try to, like, San Antonio fans will defend LaMarcus Aldridge in an all-time conversation, but, again, it's reasonable. Like, what am I saying here? Again, or even if we're debating Aldridge versus Peja, like, as much as I love Aldridge, it's like, Peja was pretty good as well, too. So, again, Steve Nash, like, is Devin Booker, I'm not going to say more loved in Phoenix than Steve Nash, but is Devin Booker as beloved? I don't even know. Again, I don't really know. Is Phoenix... How is do we have to? We might have to investigate the Phoenix fan base. I'm trying to think. Is there a Phoenix conversation happening with their fans? Like, I'm not saying I actively engage in every fan base conversation that's happening out there, and I'm like in the Reddit posts and all these different things, like looking it up. But just in terms of again, you just kind of get some of the conversation by osmosis if you just happen to be in the right spots of the algorithm online. If it's like, okay, my algorithm is trending in this direction, I'm going to kind of know what the online conversation is in that direction. So, obviously we kind of know what the online conversation is for some fans, or you go like, oh, this, like Dallas fans, like at Dirk, it's easy, but I feel like the Dallas fans are a presence. Again, is Dallas like a much bigger franchise than Phoenix? It might be a little bit, but even like, I don't know, Milwaukee fans, are they present? Cleveland fans, are they present? I'm trying to think, are Cleveland, are Phoenix fans like present in the NBA? Hey, because I'm trying to just think of like how they hold up their legends and stuff. Do we have to look like who? I mean, Barkley, I'm assuming they've retired the number and all that. And I don't know if it does, again, get a little bit more weird if you don't have a title. But maybe Phoenix is one of the franchises that has no retired numbers. Let's see. Top 12 players of all time. Sean Marion is number 1 all time in win shares. Barkley, again, just based on win shares, is number 12 behind Paul Westfeld, Dan Marley. Who else do we got here? Larry Nance, Devin Booker. Dick Van Arsdale? Whoa. Walter Davis, Amari Stoudemire, Alvin Adams, Steve Nash, Kevin Johnson, and Sean Marion. And I mean, I can't believe I'm forgetting about Amari as well, too, as I'm thinking about this. But, like, is Amari the more beloved, Phoenix Sun from that era? If that makes sense. Like, and Steve Nash is the guy, I guess, from that era in terms of, got the critical acclaim or whatever. But it might kind of secretly be Amari's team Hey, yo, that might be a hot take, young guy hot take. And that might be a YouTube highlight hot take. Whose highlights do we go back and watch more? Amari. Am I saying Amari was? I'm not even saying that Amari was straight up the better basketball player. I'm just saying that Amari might be the lead actor on the team, if that makes sense. Or like, I guess. Hey, can we use like Sinners as an example here? I guess I don't know if Steve Nash would have been in that movie. I guess he could have been. We know what role Steve Nash would have been in that movie. Hey, I don't know, but like is how Michael B. Jordan is the star of the movie. But, technically Miles Canton, the Sammy character, is the main protagonist of the movie. Like, technically the main protagonist of the movie is, or technically the main protagonist of the team is Steve Nash. It's like, yes, great performance. Technically, the movie storyline runs through him. I guess, MBJ won the award. So there's a little bit of a, miscorrelation there. It's not like Amari was winning the MVP instead of Steve Nash. But, again, looking back, is Amari like the star power guy from that team? Or is it just the YouTube highlight sense? Because we could make like the Blake Griffin, Chris Paul comparison. Again, guard, sets guys up. Obviously maybe not the most explosive offensive game, could score when he needed to, but you have this incredibly athletic, highlight-driven center or big man pause in Blake Griffin. But I do just think that there was a more, and again, Steve Nash winning the MVPs, but maybe looking back, there is a more equal balance as to that was both Blake Griffin and Chris Paul's team. I think it gets to be Blake Griffin's team because he was there a little bit before Chris Paul, and he was actually just physically drafted by the franchise. So I guess that is the difference between Amari and Steve Nash as well too, is Steve Nash was not actually drafted by Phoenix. So it does matter. It does matter. As much as maybe we need an era where guys, go rogue for a second. Like, because as much as, you got to sit here at fans and say like, oh, it matters fan bases and playing for teams for 20 years and all that different stuff. Like, oh, this stuff's important. You maybe need it to actually be important and actually like the players to experience that, if that makes sense. Like you need players to go, oh, like look at that career where, maybe there is just a little bit of a different thing. And I guess I'm not, saying Steve Nash is the number one example of this, but maybe he is a example of it in a way, and a high level example of it as well too, where he won MVPs in Phoenix. But I just, again, I'm not saying that Phoenix fans like don't love Steve Nash. Like Steve Nash is getting video tribunes when he returns. Like, he's getting celebrated and all those things. Like if they did retire jerseys, he would have their jersey retired. I guess we can Google here real quick. Suns jersey retired. Let's see what we got here. They have absolutely 12 retired jerseys. Speaking of Dick Van Arsdale, oh yeah, Steve Nash. Who would have guessed? But what do we got here? Dick Van Arsdale, Walter Davis, Kevin Johnson, Marley Nash, Tom Chambers, Sean Marion, Amari, Alvin Adams, Barkley, Coney Hawkins, as well too, number 42, and Paul Westphal, elite guard and head coach who led the franchise during multiple deep playoff runs. Other honored figures: Al McCoy, Jerry Colangelo, John McLeod, Joe Prosky, Cotton Fitzsimmons. Hey, yo. But, obviously they have their legends. And the Barkley thing, I think that, Phoenix fans love Barkley. I don't think Barkley, again, has, like, the best relationship maybe with the franchise. I can't say for certain. But, it's not like Barkley is, and he's working as well, too. But it's not like he's just actively, a presence at Phoenix games as well. Like, if I'm trying to remember, because again, like they would have worked probably like the Eastern, maybe they would have worked the Western Conference Finals the year Phoenix went to the finals, but that year was Barkley just like at finals games, court side, at this, like even like the way like David Robinson is, where David Robinson's not, maybe the most active media guy or whatever. He is for sure, like he'll be around, but he's just kind of doing his own things, and he'll be at the game, and it's David Robinson, because David Robinson's at the game, they're going to show him. Hey, so Barkley's still, could obviously be personal with Barkley, and I'm not trying to take away Barkley from TV as well too. We obviously, much would rather have the career path that Barkley has chosen here instead of him being, the number one Phoenix fan. But I'm just saying, I don't know, if they like honor legends in that way. I guess what was the point was Stephon Marbury versus Steve Nash. I don't even know what the point was. Kobe versus Steve Nash. We have to make the case there. I'm not exactly certain where we were talking about Steve Nash with Phoenix there. But shout out Steve Nash. Hopefully we say some complimentary. I don't know. We have no problem with Steve Nash on this pod. Steve Nash, call in and defend yourself. Hey, do we need to play one-on-one with Steve Nash, proving to ourselves why Steve Nash is, pause, proving why Steve Nash was actually good at basketball? If Steve Nash could cook us, then I guess he could cook anybody, right, Chat? Hey, I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah, I guess shit for that. Oh, I guess he was drafted by Phoenix and then traded on draft night to Dallas, or he was traded after 2 years? Hey, the weird career of Steve Nash. So again, I guess he is traded by Phoenix, but still, or drafted by Phoenix, but regardless, had his major come up in what are we saying, in Dallas. I don't even know what that would be like now if a player had two kind of pretty good production. I guess Halliburton, but maybe not quite as well. I guess he was per 36, 11, and 14. I would say Halliburton was a little better than like 7 and 9 points, 3 points a game, but that's probably minutes as well too. 10 minutes and then 21 minutes off the bench, 22 minutes off the bench most of the time for Phoenix. So he's still 9 and 3 in those minutes, and obviously the shooting efficiency is still there, 41%, even if it's in his limited attempts. And I'm sure he would have obviously played well in the modern era for sure. But there is a little bit of, and we were just doing like the Jalen Brunson Sims versus some of the best guards of all time, and we had him versus Steve Nash. And there is a little like Steve Nash is Steph Curry and like Dame Lillard. And Steve Nash could definitely, I mean, maybe I just need to go watch more Steve Nash highlights, like the old heads. Like Steve Nash played, literally retired 10 years ago. But the old heads are gonna be like, go back and watch Steve Nash. Steve Nash was a baller. Really deserved those 2 MVPs. But again, like I don't know if Steve Nash this is another young guy take. We talk about keeping legends' names up there, and we're gonna say that Dame Lillard's better than Steve Nash, but he's not a better playmaker than Steve Nash, but he's a better scorer. And make no mistake, your boy just likes scoring. It is what it is. I mean, I appreciate defense and rebounding and high energy, contribution as much as anybody. It's how you win a title. But if we're just making a list of the best players and the players to draft, players to build a team around, I mean, just a high level scorer is gonna always be like, I might as well just take that guy. It seems like getting buckets is probably not a bad thing. Again, speaking of shorts, I guess speaking of watching ringer shorts on YouTube, obviously that's all we got now because they're on Netflix. But what are you saying? There was one of Doc Rivers with Bill Simmons, and Doc Rivers is like in the little pool house situation back there with Simmons, like looking awkward, sitting on the couch. He's like, I'm just, like this is literally like, a cameras off situation from, being sketchy. Hey, I'm just back in this guy's pool house. But he was asking him like who in the short, he's asking him like who are the underrated, young stars in the league that could become superstar players. They were getting really bold. They said VJ Edgecombe and Dylan Harper. So, really hot takes there from Doc Rivers. But or Simmons after the finals. Literally everybody loves Dylan Harper right now. The stock is like maybe too high on Dylan Harper. Speaking of beloved players, Dylan Harper might be the most loved Spur right now in the NBA, like over Wemby. Obviously, Wemby with the full villain arc. Dylan Harper wasn't like and Castle was throwing people to the ground as well too. Dylan Harper was kind of the one guy like not throwing people all over the place. Maybe for both teams at that point as well too. But obviously, what were we gonna say about Doc? Oh, and Doc Rivers when he was talking about VJ Edgecombe, and again, like I love VJ Edgecombe's game. Like he's gonna be a really, really great player. Again, to me, it's not a hot take to say that like he's gonna be. I guess the hot take would be, is VJ Edgecombe gonna be like second team All NBA at some point? And he could get there based on the defense, but it is based on the defense. It's like coaches, coaches love defense. Like coaches literally don't care about scoring. Coaches would rather have, and I don't even know what it is about a coach. Like for some, I guess D'Antoni, maybe bad coaches, I don't know, but it just seems like coaches would just rather win the game, for sure. But if they would rather the game be 60-50 than 110 to 120. And again, it's not even, I'm not saying, a coach would rather lose a high scoring game than win a low scoring game. I'm just saying a coach would objectively rather win a low scoring game than win a high scoring game. Like they would much rather just have a boring slugfest, guys are rotating and playing defense. Then it's just like wide open and guys are hitting shots. I guess that's the coaching, and that's really what it is, right? Is coaches, do I say, coaches want to be important? Like I guess that's the lazy version of the take. But that's the balance of being a coach, right? Is are you guiding the players in helping them, are you going to set them up for them to perform and for them to be the star, or is the coach the star? If that makes sense. It's like, is it the system? Is it, hey, we got the defense, we coach up the rotations, our offensive schemes are really good and those generate the points, or is it, knowing how to balance giving the creators freedom and then, obviously again setting up the sort of uh, two-way aspect of the team there. And at some point, the coach is going to be important with game planning, regardless of how, talented the players are on the team, rotations, all those things. Like the coach is just going to be important. And is the coach going to be, if you have LeBron and Wade in Miami in 2013, like maybe there is a handful of coaches that could have won the title and outside of Spoelstra. But also Spoelstra was super important as well too. You win because you have the best people at the different spots on the court at the time. Mike Brown this year was absolutely one of the best coaches in the league. I think maybe, do we have to also, if we're talking about great playoff runs, is this why Giannis's run was better than Brunson? Because Coach Bud. Hey, chat. No, shout out. Coach Bud has been like, a coach of some pretty good teams. Both of them Spurs guys, Coach Bud and Mike Brown. Both Spurs guys as well too. So the Magic, chat. Hey, they got the Spurs assistant. Are the Magic up next? Do we have to just chart out Spurs assistants as guys that win titles? I mean, we hate, we don't hate to say it, but it just seems like it's true. Steve Kerr, right? Spurs assistant, kind of, in some ways. I guess front office or coach. I forget. Maybe front office or just a player. I think he just played in San Antonio. But what are we still criticizing? Have we criticized Steve Nash enough, Chad? Hey, what are we saying? Steve Nash can't score any points. He's not off. And, I think, again, like you would have him in some ways, as a movement guy, he can still create a, shot for himself as well, too. But, hey, Chad, give me Brandon Roy over Steve Nash any day of the week. Hey, it is what it is. And plus, the defensive element is really important as well, too. Like, this is our coaching mindset. But, it's maybe more of a highlight defensive element as well, too, than sometimes like a lockdown defensive element. Like who's going to jump out and get steals and blocks and game-changing plays and things like that. But, we just, a hot take. We love game-changing plays here in the Remington Pod. But, and Steve Nash could make them, make no mistake. But I don't, there's like Steve Nash, it's a number 2 sort of situation, right? Like he's an MVP who can't be the best guy on a title team. And that's always a weird sort of line to walk. I don't know. Is he the only MVP to do that? Maybe. I hate to look up MVPs. I don't even know if I've ever really thought about it in that sense before as well. But I'm just thinking, like, again, every guy that has won the MVP has either won it or I guess you could say is capable of that, right? Like, who is the guy that's not capable? Embiid? Like, is Embiid? And the only reason you would say Embiid is not is because of, performance issues. Chat pause. Like, is Steve Nash at his best able to be the best player on a title team? If that makes sense. And again, maybe obviously these guys never won it. So they're, what are we saying? They're in the same class with Steve Nash in that type of way as well, too. But Embiid, James Harden, Westbrook, Derrick Rose never won the finals. I guess Garnett did win the finals in Boston, but I think Garnett obviously could have been the best player on a finals team as well, too. Again, Iverson took a team to the finals. Steve Nash never took a team to the finals. So, 96 draft comparisons there. Malone, multiple finals appearances as well. David Robinson. So maybe honestly, like David Robinson, with all due respect to our guy, that's another one. Maybe that's a little Embiid-esque where, and I don't think Embiid ever played Hakeem. Hot take. I don't think Embiid ever played Hakeem in the playoffs. Like he definitely played really good players like Tatum and stuff. Really good, like all-time great players for sure. But I don't know if he ever matched up directly against the other center and just got cooked by the other guy where it's like, in the playoff series, getting punked like that. And Barkley, again, like we all, who doesn't think Barkley could have been the best player in a title team as well, too, from a talent standpoint. So I guess it's probably not a hot take, to say that, again, is Steve Nash the most boring player MVP? Like, hey, how many more ways can we phrase this, Chad? I think that's really what it is, right? Is Steve Nash is kind of just the most boring player MVP. 15.5 points a game in 04-05, but 11.5 assists a game. Like, it's riveting. Hey, riveting basketball. Can we get a win shares per 48? Kareem 71-72. Oh, James Harden, top 20 MVP of all time. Hey, Embiid as well, too. Where is Steve Nash on this list, chat? I mean, boom, right there. I guess where's the other second Steve Nash performance? I guess they're both toward the bottom. of win shares per 48. But again, like Walton in 77, 78's, down here as well too. Pause. Hakeem in 93, 94. We'd probably take both those guys over Steve Nash. Probably take Bill Russell over Steve Nash as well too. Wes Unseld, Dave Cowens. Kobe would also probably take him over Steve Nash. I mean, redraft. And then what are you saying? Malone, make the case all you want. But chat, I mean, if it's an all-time redraft situation, we're taking Moses Malone over Steve Nash. It is what it is. Honestly, and I'm going to make the case for him as soon as I say this, but Wes Unseld might be the only guy that would be matching the boring MVP mark with Steve Nash. You look at the box scores, you might not necessarily think like, oh, let me go queue up some Wes Unseld highlights. He was 13 points a game, 18 rebounds when he won the MVP in 76, 78. What year is this? 68, 69 when he won the MVP. But Wes Unseld won a Finals MVP. Wes Unseld took a team to the title in some ways. Again, they also had Hayes and Dandridge as well too. MVPs in their own right. But regardless, he was a guy that could be a part of that unit. I don't know. I don't know if he could. Again, Steve Nash might be the best, on the all-time list of like who were the guys that could not be the number 1 or number 2 guy on a finals team. Like really, again, like all-time great player, really great skills guy, but I feel like you would want to surround him with, hot take, as many great wings as possible. And he did have some of that with like Sean Marion and Joe Johnson. And, could that have been enough if that team sticks together as well too? If that best version of that team is multiple years. But, again, if you're in the playoffs and it's Nash versus Duncan, I guess like we're saying, I think the goal would have, or the case for them would have been Amari ascends to be like a consistent 25, 26 a point game guy in the playoffs. And I think even when Amari goes to New York and plays with Melo, it's a little bit of a different time in his career as well too. You're still bringing in Amari, really hoping that he's going to bring a lot of that impact as well. But even at their best, I think that Melo, like if Amari is in Denver in the mid 2000s playing with Melo, like Melo could still be the best player on that. They don't need Amari to be 27 a game. Like if Amari's the second best guy, 24 a game, and Melo is the best version of himself, they can still win the title. If Steve Nash is the best version of himself, they still probably need Amari to, again, be a little better than Steve Nash, if that makes sense. So I guess, that, have we made our Steve Nash stance very clear? But he's still like a top 6 player in this redraft. It's just, again, sort of balancing the MVP and maybe the modern analytics with just, I guess, the vibe test of who we want on our basketball team. Like, what do you want to cheer for? Again, I guess what players, what style of play, I guess, do you kind of like watching as well too? And, unselfish team first basketball, like you think like, what's wrong with Steve Nash? Perimeter game, good handle there as well. But I don't know, chat. We're just jealous. I could have been Steve Nash. Anybody could have been Steve Nash, right? No, but that's the thing. Like Steve Nash is great. And maybe that is the thing that he doesn't have. Like Steph, has like the, obviously earlier in his career, it was like the baby-faced assassin was the nickname that he had there for a while. There is because he's the undersized guard, there is a little bit of a relatability to his game, but also there isn't, because he's just so electric at creating off the dribble that you're like, well, I guess that's also just, instead of, being able to jump 40 inches and just, like LeBron, he can just, bowl everybody over. Steph Curry's just going to hit every single thing that he chucks up into the air and throws the basket. Obviously, the hard work and stuff, like I'm just, overstating it simply there. Hey, Steph, don't get mad. But, hey, what are you saying? Phoenix, Steve Nash, 15, still a pretty good pick as well, too. I guess I don't know how we got there from Charlotte as well. From Kobe, that's where we were originally, starting off. And I guess some of the ranking stuff as well, too. And we mentioned Philly. I don't really know how we got to Phoenix as well. But, yeah, I guess, Kobe could have gone to Philly. Or Toronto. Toronto gets interesting because, of course, they end up with Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady over the next couple of years. So is that 98 draft that Vince Carter is in? McGrady is in the 97 draft. So they end up getting McGrady at, let's see here, number 9. Like they probably, and again, because Kobe still is, obviously, headed for greatness. But that first year, I don't know if Kobe's knocking him off the number 9 spot. So you probably could still pretty easily get Kobe and McGrady both in this lineup. And again, McGrady's still probably not knocking you off of anything by year 2 as well too. So yeah, Kobe year 1, 7 a game. Year 2, he's 15 a game. So year 3, 19 a game, third team All NBA, lockout shortened season. Again, obviously is setting, Spurs win the title there. But and then by the next year, 20 a game, they go on their title run as well too. Hot take. Obviously Shaq, continue to level up. But yes, Kobe became an awesome player as well, and that's Shaq and Kobe is why they were dominant. But at 19 a game, he's definitely affecting draft picks. At that point, Toronto's probably a 35, 40 win, maybe a 35 win team. I guess not in the 50 win season, but whatever a 35 team win percentage is in an 82 win season, they're probably somewhere around there in the lockout season. But these first 2 years, they're still probably able to assemble the same team. So the I guess, do we call it the Sam Bowie effect, chat? Hey, yo. I feel like you kind of know where we're going as we start saying that if you know NBA history. But if the only reason that they would not have those guys on the same team if they had taken Kobe at 2, say, Toronto, would be, again, Sam Bowie effect of they already have Kobe, so they don't feel like they need to take another guard. And, again, obviously in the modern NBA, you think, well, these are a little bit more wings as well, too. Like, we could just play all these wings together. Like, this would be insane if this would work out. But you're definitely still getting McGrady at 9. And then I guess they traded for Vince, but was that on draft night, or did they trade for him later? I forget that as well, too. Let's see. His career, yeah, it did start in Toronto. I was going to say, I don't remember him being somewhere else before that. But, yeah, Toronto and then New Jersey. And then, kind of stumbling around for a couple of teams there. So Vince Carter, 98, 99, 18 a game, his rookie year there. And then you have Kobe, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady, chat. I mean, that's crazy. And that is, with all due respect to Philly and Iverson, like, yes, maybe having Kobe's better for Philly. I don't know. But again, Iverson worked out pretty good there. So, and I don't know if the career basically works out the same as well, too. But it's just more fun if Kobe goes too and is playing with McGrady and Vince Carter. Again, I guess, does Toronto trade him to the Lakers on draft night? Obviously not. So, does that mean in the random circumstance of events, like, is Vince Carter now ending up in the Lakers? I don't know if that's just the automatic timeline replacement, or if it's like, well, now Vince Carter's in Indiana and, this other random guy is in the Lakers now, if that's the case. But I really do think the real what if is Kobe at 2. For, it really starts going Kobe at 2 after Iverson there. We'll give Iverson his respect as that number 1 pick of the time as well. I think can be even still, old, and I guess 96 is not like we're starting to break into a new era of draft scouting at this point. Like the idea of, we watched this guy in the tournament and he was awesome, as I guess, again, shouting out the Ringer, a phrase that we've heard. Obviously, people from back in the day, but guys like Bill Simmons use that phrase where, just the importance of what a tournament run would be able to do for a draft stock. I mean, it still is, very important in how we evaluate players today. But that UMass team, I'm pretty sure that was that Calipari team making that Final Four and can be leading that, definitely going to be a major impact there. And, again, 9,000 points. Like, Camby did have his moments in the NBA. I guess let's go back here and look real quick. Yeah, 4-time block champ, 4-time all defense, 06-07 defensive player of the year. So, I mean, he was a menace in some ways. MC is a great nickname as well, too. The MC, the Camby man, chat. I mean, that's great as well. Marcus Campy, can't touch this. I guess I'm thinking like some MC Hammer reference as well, too. I guess you could just call him MC Hammer. Hey, yo, pause. But, yeah, again, he's traded by Toronto within 2 seasons. Is he part of the, I guess he's not part of the Vince Carter trade necessarily, but what do they even get for Camby here in the deal? They select him first, traded by Toronto to New York for Sean Marks, Oakley, and cash. So, hey, yo, not a lot there after 2 years of career in the NBA. Traded by New York in 02 with Nene and Mark Jackson to Denver for McDyess, Frank Williams, and a 2nd-round pick. And then Denver traded him for a 2nd-round pick to the Clippers for another 2nd-round pick. Hey, yo, so they're just trading the contract at that point. And the Clippers traded him to the Blazers for Steve Blake and Travis Outlaw. And then the Blazers traded him to the Rockets for Johnny Flynn and Hashim Thabit in a 2nd-round pick. And then traded by the Rockets. So he didn't ever get cut. He got traded from every team he played for. Traded by the Rockets to the Knicks again or was he traded there originally? I don't even know at this point. Yeah, traded again for Tony Douglas, Josh Harrelson, Jerome Jordan, a 2014 second round pick. Nick Johnson later selected. Is that the Arizona basketball player? And then a 2015 second round pick, Montrezl Harrell. And then traded by the Knicks in 2013 with Steve Novak, Quentin Richardson, and a second round pick, and a first round pick, and a second round pick for Bargnani. Whoa, Bargnani got a haul. Two first round, a first, a second, a first, 2 seconds, and 3 players for Bargnani in 2013, a former number 1 overall pick. Hey, yo. So honestly, Marcus Camby might be one of the best, like, the player. This might be one of the worst, like, player rosters a player has ever been traded for, to be honest, with all due respect. But, and, obviously there's some great legends at some points in their career. Like, there is a lineup here, actually, of, as I'm scanning through it now, you think at the peak of their powers, I guess, New York did have Charles Oakley and Mark Jackson, I'm pretty sure both. But if you put those two guys on a team with, Montrezl Harrell, I guess it drops off pretty quickly. But Steve Novak, Mark Jackson, Charles Oakley, Quentin Richardson, and Bargnani, like, those guys might actually be like a 35-win team at some point. Like, it's not bad. But, Travis Outlaw, Steve Blake, again, Sean Marks, the GM, got traded as a player. Hey, maybe that's why he likes trades so much. He's like, hurt by what happened back in the day. But yeah, obviously, with all due respect to Camby, it's just like that pick itself didn't really play much for Toronto. He did end up in Denver being an important defensive part of that team, almost making its finals run there. And I guess, 2 seasons in New York also kind of popping out a little bit. And it was on that team that made the finals there in New York. So again, like, was just a guy that was on a lot of these really consistent playoff contributing teams. And, there is a world as well, too. You think that defensive presence that he could bring, again, like him next to McGrady and in Vince Carter would have been productive. Like, you're not probably worse off if you're keeping him around, especially with the trades they did have. But hey, Kobe, McGrady, and Vince Carter is one of the craziest lineups that we would have ever seen. Like, and just the strangeness of it as well, too, at the time. Like, we wouldn't have had a three, and that's, again, like I'm saying, we just wouldn't have had a 3-wing duo. A 3-wing duo, Chad? Hey, we wouldn't have had a 3-wing duo like that in any point, I would say of any point in NBA history. Like, maybe Boston back in the day when they had Sam Jones. Did they have, like, Sam Jones, Havlicek, and Heinsohn all at the same time? I don't even know if those 3 guys played on a team together, or if Heinsohn and Havlicek and Sam, Heinsohn maybe. No, I think they all did. Havlicek might have been, a couple years then there, but I think all 3 of those guys would have overlapped at some point. Maybe like Worthy, Michael Cooper. Worthy, Michael Cooper, and Magic would have been there. Worthy, Magic, and somebody else. Again, you think of Magic as a guard, for sure, but also as a wing. And, Cooper, maybe not like the most crazy offensive guy. So again, like just and athletically as well, too, the dunks from prime Kobe, Tracy McGrady, and Vince Carter would have been insane. So that is, obviously a crazy what if there. The Vancouver Grizzlies were, definitely not the most, well-run situation when they were over there. And, we don't know the full details of that. But the urban legend of that team, being a little bit of an organizational disaster is definitely still around. So I don't know if Kobe would have, we don't necessarily need him in Vancouver at that time. Milwaukee for Marbury, they traded Minnesota. I guess Kobe and Garnett is interesting. Hey, you have a hot take. That would be the next best scenario for him after that, because they would have gotten, they already have Garnett on the team. So it's not like by drafting Kobe, they what are we saying? They would mess with that, right? Because like we're saying, Garnett was 95 draft. Go back and double check. Yeah, but Joe Smith, first overall pick. Garnett would have been the 5th pick in that draft as well, too. So, still needing time to adjust, not necessarily, changing a ton of wins. And I guess we can go see what the actual trade was for Allen here on draft night as well, too, for Minnesota. But that is interesting thinking about that, about them being able to risk that with Garnett and not wanting to risk that with Kobe. Because, again, if you're keeping Ray Allen, it would make sense for them to trade. I guess, was it Marbury that they traded with him then? The picks there, kind of speaking of Vince Carter swap situation. Pause. So yeah, on draft night, traded by Minnesota and a 1998 first round pick to the Milwaukee Bucks for Marbury. Hey yo, so they got a first round pick to move up one spot basically. I mean, that's a great deal. I don't know, Rasho Nestrovic is maybe not the, again, I don't know if the trade worked out in their favor exactly for him here. But 2005 NBA champ, he did find his way on a championship team at some point. 11 points a game in 2002, 2003, it looks like. But yeah, that would have been, the at least the asset value of that is not bad there. So, and I guess Marbury, like we're saying, I guess maybe at the time of the draft, it makes a little bit more sense to go with Marbury versus Kobe. But I mean, again, speaking of what ifs, I guess that is more directly probably even a better what if than can be as well too, because just the idea of them directly taking a guard is pretty crazy. And then you have two high schoolers, like that. The swing, uh, I mean, I don't know. Does that maybe even just alter what the NBA looks like from a talent evaluation standpoint? If they're so successful in drafting those two players without them having to go to college, like maybe the league looks different now. And I guess, we're still even into 2000. I guess 2004 was the last time, right? So maybe there would have been enough time between that and the 96 draft as well, where the league just changes the rules anyways. And, whatever happens between then, the league decides that that's just still not enough time for players to wait to get in the league to be able to jump right into the NBA. But still, that is probably a title or two for sure. I mean, you are gonna be difficult to find anybody that could match the dominance that Shaq had in those 2000s, especially again in some of those finals runs. And if you're just thinking again, like if Garnett's going up against Shaq in the 2000s, I still probably do want Shaq in the lineup there. And Shaq and Marbury is a lot interesting. It's a lot, with respect to Marbury, a lot worse than Shaq and Kobe. But it's also probably not as good as Shaq and Penny as well too, or Shaq and Wade. Sorry to Marbury, but it would have been interesting. Do they get one title with Marbury and Shaq? They might be able to get through 1 year and at least make the finals. But yeah, Kobe again. I would rather. Well, I guess because of Minnesota, we probably would rather see Kobe in the East. Hot take, we don't want San Antonio to have to face Kobe. So, not only Kobe and Shaq, which we did get our wins against, but Kobe and Garnett as well too would be no fun. So if Kobe could be in Toronto, like that'd be nice for sure. Rest in peace. But again, to me, if they're still able to get McGrady and Carter, that is the bigger what if. But since Garnett is on the team now, again, it's a little bit more of a solidified what if pause, if that makes sense. And then you would have had, I guess, Milwaukee at that point, ending up with Allen still probably, or just Milwaukee. I guess they probably just wanted the extra pick, right? This would be the thing to, go back and look at the time. Did they leverage the Marbury pick to get that extra pick from Minnesota? Because they knew that Milwaukee wanted Allen anyways, but they knew that they knew that Minnesota wanted Marbury as bad as they did, I guess. So they probably, used that knowledge against him there. But there is the world as well, too. Again, they just draft Allen at 4. They draft Kobe at 4 as well, too. But you just draft Allen at 4. And again, would Kobe have done more than Allen on those teams? Like, I don't want to disrespect, again, Kobe putting up 30 points to get a game there in some of those 2000s lineups. But 21, 22... I guess it would have been more a slight burst. And then you get, I guess, a whole alternate timeline. Does Kobe actually play the Lakers in the 2000 championship? Hey, yo. Because Milwaukee loses to Iverson that year. Do they lose to the rest and Iverson? I don't know. But Milwaukee and Allen could have easily have been the team in the finals as well, too. So Kobe maybe is the extra boost that the league needs to give the Milwaukee Bucks the advantage in the script. I don't know. But then he's also directed playing his own team. So again, it would depend on who is playing with Shaq at that point as well. But yeah, I mean, Kobe and Milwaukee, I guess, would have been just as crazy as any of these as well. I don't know. Does he play with Michael Redd if he's there for a while? Kobe and Boston, I mean, the Lakers rivalry thing, I don't know if it makes us, we're not Lakers, but just because we know that rivalry exists, obviously, I don't know if it makes it weird to think of him in a Lakers, uniform. But, we don't need to send Kobe to Boston. That's fine. Or the Clippers as well, too. Like, this run, again, maybe this actually is a good thing. Again, Kobe never played for Charlotte. But maybe these teams never trade him, and if he goes to the Clippers, the New Jersey, I guess Dallas is fine. Indiana in the 2000s is pretty fun as well, too. But again, at some point, I'm not even gonna give these teams a what if. I guess you kind of have to, right? Like if Indiana takes Kobe again, does he playing? Is he playing the Lakers in the finals with Indiana? Indiana with Kobe and Reggie Miller, and then it's like Kobe taking the torch from Reggie Miller as well too. Pause. A passing of the torch. But I mean, that would be one of the craziest passing of the torches. I guess Duncan and Robinson was a little like that, where it's like, oh, this guy is actually like way better than not way better, but better. And that is the thing, right? Is Duncan's not like way better than Robinson. He's definitely had a lot more playoff success than Robinson's had, but he's not like a way better basketball player. He's probably a better basketball player, but not like a way better basketball player. Like Kobe is probably with all due respect, just like a way better basketball player than Reggie Miller. A better basketball player in terms of the degree of separation there between those two, and then like we're saying, the Spurs centers that we mentioned. Dallas, I guess, does get Steve Nash a little bit. So it could be Kobe and Dirk in Dallas together at some point as well, too. But Kobe and Indiana would have been interesting. And I guess Indiana do they still eventually get Jermaine O'Neal? Is that Kobe and the wrong O'Neal, chat? Hey, the wrong O'Neal's crazy, but a different O'Neal? Jermaine instead of Shaq? Again, probably maybe over under a half a title instead of them getting a 3 in a row there. But yeah, we'll see. Let's see, chat. We got to figure out the what if scenarios for the draft here. Let's see. We got to play out this NBA of course we can't spell classic what if NBA what if scenario. There we go. Sound it out, chat. Scenario. We've got Kobe Bryant, RIP, getting drafted. Drafted number 2 overall to Toronto and headed to Canada. Kobe and Drake, chat. Hey, yo, that would have been a crazy relationship there at the end as well. The end of Kobe's basketball career is how I am trying to phrase that. But again, rest in peace, Kobe, as well too. Absolute fever dream of a what if. The 96 NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors entering their second season in franchise history held the number 1 pick used on Marcus Camby. Meanwhile, Kobe went 13 to Charlotte. And we didn't even mention the what if to Charlotte as well too. Like Charlotte is good in the middle of the 90s. Like they're not, again, is this like a Wemby situation if Kobe goes to Charlotte? I don't know. I guess, they didn't draft Knuppel back then necessarily. But yeah, Larry Johnson, would he still been there? Morning would have still been there. This would have been still during the morning Del Curry years, I'm pretty sure. Muggsy Bogues and Kobe, chat, on the same team. I mean, how much fun is that? That'd be awesome. The Activision, maybe Muggsy Bogues gets an Oscar. Maybe if he and Kobe are, teammates together, Kobe thinks to have him cast in like a short film situation. And we know Kobe is, of course, Oscar director as well too. But maybe there's a working relationship that kind of happens a little bit. So yeah, 54 and 28, 96, 97. Actually, they were really good that year. Anthony Mason leading in minutes. Anthony Mason, Glenn Rice, Vlade Divac, who again they traded in the deal for Kobe. So I guess he did get him some wins, but 12 a game, maybe not great. And then Del Curry, 14 a game, 6th man of the year. Muggsy Bogues, 8. And Ricky Pierce as well, too, 12 a game, still hanging on. Pause. 37-year-old Ricky Pierce, 50% from the field. 53% from 3. I guess he played in only 27 games. But still was balling out when he played. 12 games played. So you have Anthony Mason, Glenn Rice, Kobe, and Del Curry and Muggsy Bogues. It's totally different. I mean, I guess your lineup does change as well, too. They needed a center, which is why they traded Kobe. I'm not sure. But Divac as well, too. Obviously, I guess he was like 27 when they made the deal. So he was in the peak of his powers. And Kobe's the 13th pick in the draft. So this is something to think about for the Giannis deal as well, too. Like, let's just say, is that like 10 to 16 team range just definite in giving that pickup for Giannis? Like, as a Spurs fan, I would confidently give up 20 for Giannis this year, but there have been guys drafted at 20 as well, too, that have been awesome. But you would have Wagler, Acuff, Flemings, Mikael Brown, and Braden Burries as the guys here on the Tankathon mock. I did see a quote from a cuff saying that he wanted to be like Brunson, and I was like, oh, yep, that probably smart. Brunson's a championship headed toward Hall of Fame level guard, so I'd model a thing or two after Brunson as well if I was a point guard. Seems like it'd be an all right move there. But do you believe that maybe a Met at number 10? I guess Milwaukee, literally. Do you believe a Met could be that guy, or what are the odds as well too, like we're saying, of him just being that productive role player throughout? But what do we got here for the rookie blueprint? Ayo, feeding the beast. In LA, Kobe was off the bench. Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel averaged 15 minutes a game as a rookie. In Toronto, no luxury of patience. The Raptors were an expansion team, starving for star power alongside their point guard, Damon Stoudemire. Year one, Kobe is thrown straight into the fire. Mighty Mouse ripple effect. Damon Stoudemire doesn't get frustrated with the lack of help and never demands a trade to Portland. So Stoudemire sticks around. We have Stoudemire and McGrady and Vince Carter, I guess, would have been insane. But yeah, the 98 draft, Air Canada, this is where the timeline gets completely wild. The Raptors drafted Vince Carter on draft night 98. With Kobe established as a rising star in Toronto, do the Raptors still hunt for an explosive wing? Oh, probably not. They're giving him a no for Vince Carter. It says instead of Vince Carter, the Raptors use their lottery pick on a big man. Ayo, Dirk or Paul Pierce. So if they have the inclination, I guess, to go for a bit of a swing type player in a high schooler straight from the NBA, obviously, maybe they would go it. Would they dare risk it on an international prospect like Dirk Nowitzki in 98? I don't know if that would be, something Dallas would be ready for there. And I guess the McGrady, what if? The McGrady, like we said, they got it 9. So Fortson, Tariq Abdur-Wahad, Austin Koshire, Derek Anderson. I can't say a lot of names that I'm too familiar with. Danny Fortson, maybe. But it seems like the draft does take a bit of a turn after McGrady, so you can't really blame him too much, again, for that pick. We got Marko Milicic here at 34, but yeah, it is really, really a steep drop after that. Steven Jackson at 43. Okay, there we go. So maybe they take Steven Jackson, I guess, instead of, now we have a less explosive scoring wing in 97. So you do still kind of have to take McGrady as best player available in 97. And then, again, Carter was number 5. So they probably go Robert Traylor as well if they want to go with a more front court focused player in that type of environment as well too. Obviously, again, rest in peace to the legend Traylor as well. But you could definitely go Dirk. Was Pierce on the board at that point? Carter at 5. They traded for Carter though. And let's see, wait a second. They would have been at number 4 here. Jameson. So wait a second. Let me go back and double check the sequence of events here as well too. I guess we could have just clicked on Vince Carter's name since he is the guy that we're looking for them to bring in here. But yeah, you could have definitely, gone. And I guess I don't know exactly, the difference between Pierce and Vince Carter. You're definitely, getting a little bit, pause thicker. A little bit more sturdier with the front court player. Pierce is a little more small forward, power 40, I guess. And, Vince Carter, a little more two-guard. So two-guard, small forward type of situation. But, yeah, traded by the Raptors to the Golden State for Vince Carter and cash. Hey, yo. So they didn't even trade away anybody at that time. Oh, this was Jameson as well. I was like, wait a second. Okay, I'm going to dial back in. Thinking I'm on the Vince Carter page after mentioning that. So it was... traded by the Raptors to Golden State for Vince Carter and cash. They had to give up cash to give up Vince Carter. So we had a couple, I guess, of the block trades there over the couple of years. 98, similar to like we saw in 96. Jason Williams, Larry Hughes, and then Dirk at 9. Ooh, gets traded as well too. Who, Dallas has the 6th pick in the draft there. Hey, yo, Chad. I mean, obviously, like we're saying, we know the scenario that we want. The Los Angeles Lakers collapse if Kobe is in Toronto. The entire NBA landscape pivots because of what happened to the Lakers. Shaquille O'Neal still signs with them in 76. However, Kobe emerging as a top 5 player. The Lakers struggles to get past the Spurs or the Blazers in the West. Rasheed Wallace is just cooking Shaq without Kobe. Hey, yo, I don't know about that, but Rasheed Wallace never gets traded to the Pistons. Shaq might be only one ring in LA, maybe 2000 instead of three-peat. Phil Jackson never moves to LA because he doesn't see championship ready duo. Frustration, lack of postseason success. Postseason what? Postseason success? Is this another James Dolan led team? Hey, yo, no postseason sex. Shaq might demand a trade out of LA earlier, completely altering the power balance of the 2000s. The Northern uprising and the Eastern rivalries. Whoa, we turned into Game of Thrones all of a sudden. 2001, Kobe enters his absolute prime. But instead of battling the Kings and the Blazers, Kobe is running the Eastern Conference. Kobe versus AI in the 2000s East becomes divided by legendary, bitter rivalry between Kobe and Iverson. Ayo. The first Canadian chip, so they win a ring in 03 with Kobe, apparently. It says, just, confidently rewrite it in history. Oh, against Duncan in the finals, chat. Ayo, that'd have been painful. Pause. That would have been tough. Obviously Duncan didn't lose the finals until later in his career there. But it says if the Raptors take Kobe in 2, they become the team of the 2000s. So wait, let's make sure we run this sim right. Kobe broke. Whoa, wait, yo. What's the name? Kobe plus T-Mac plus Vince would have been the duo that they would have assembled by the 2000s. So who plays where? The biggest question in 3 office scoring is who shares the ball. I mean, pause. No, not the other 2 guys on the court. That's for sure. That's how you fix it. They go, well, who's gonna pass it between Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant? All 3 of those guys. Just the other 2 guys will never ever touch it. They'll be the ones paused. They'll be the ones playing, defense rebounding. Chat. I didn't even think about the dunk contest as well too. I mean, we can't erase Vince Carter's legendary dunk contest performance, but Vince versus Kobe and T-Mac both would have been insane. Kobe, I guess, does he join in 97? I guess he still does, right? Just because he's in the Raptors. Doesn't mean he can't win a dunk contest still. Ego clash versus championship glory. Hey, and then they bring in Phil Jackson to coach the Raptors. Oh, a legendary coach like Phil Jackson or Pat Riley manages to convince them to make a greater good. Sacrifice for the greater good. They build a dynasty terrorizing the East, locking horns with Shaquille O'Neal's Lakers in the finals every year. Oh, chat. Ayo. So still the Spurs somehow in the AI simulation here don't do well. They win 1 championship on pure talent, but fight over who takes the last shot and tears the team apart within 3 seasons. Oh, chat, that seems kind of cliche. Leading to blockbuster trades that scatter them across the league. Okay, so at least you get 1 ring, obviously, out of, Kobe, T-Mac, and Vince Carter there as well. But that would have been a pretty crazy what if. I guess, again, like we said, Iverson is kind of set at number 1, so there's really no other what if. I guess he drops to number 2, and he also has the run with T-Mac and Vince Carter, which is a little bit worse as well. You have a more ball-dominant player, and you have a worse defender. So, Iverson needs the clear out in a way that I do think that, and maybe, again, this just shows you the importance of the finals in general, of even getting to the finals. Like, Wemby this year getting to the finals, it's like, obviously, deserves to be recognized now as one of the best players in the league. We can't say the best because obviously Brunson just won the title, but one of the best players in the league for certain. But just how important of a recognition it is to actually get to that storyline, like, you can make so much goodwill on even just making it once, and even if and again, it's so difficult to get back. Like, and with the teams they build around you, like, pause. Like, it is obviously, again, not always up to the actual player themselves as well. But yeah, I mean, just having at least that one would have been, obviously a little bit different there. But I guess we gotta actually go back to the 96 draft. We got the 97 one still up in the background here. But again, for a guy like James Harden, like, if James Harden's just able to make the finals as the lead guy in Houston, is it a totally different conversation? Like, do you have to say that Iverson is over James Harden at this point because James Harden or Iverson proved that he could take a team to the finals and James Harden didn't? I don't know if we're reducing basketball all the time, too simply to an argument there. Because, again, it's like, I do think James Harden was the better defender. I do think James Harden legitimately plays well with 5 other guys. I think that, again, his heliocentric version of offense is one thing, but I think he can mold his game to whatever he needs to a little bit more than Iverson can. And again, Iverson is going to be as good at leading a team, but there is just going to be a little less versatility there as well too. But I do think that unfortunately probably just takes away from Carter and McGrady in a different way. They may build a different team, like we're saying. So you go T-Mac, McGrady, and Dirk is your team there. I don't know, for some reason, Dirk in Toronto. It just is not like sounding the same as some of the other ones. But yeah, Camby in Toronto, the number 2 pick, like we're saying. So number, I guess, which is now Kobe. I guess number 3 is, or I guess Kobe's number 1. Right? We said, hey, yo, remember this? Maybe we write it down. Iverson 1, Kobe 2, still, and then number 3. You basically have not quite a drop off at this point, but you have, I guess, a choice between Allen and Nash. It's basically the 2 guys that you have to pick there. But I think we probably, and again, they made the trade for Marbury, so I guess, they could have had Nash and didn't. Marbury, again, a little bit more valued at the time. But they do probably also, genuinely have the Ray Allen value there as well, too. So let's see, we got the Sixers at number 1. They're still taking our guy, Allen Iverson, with the pick. Shout out to the Philly fans. Not trying to get them too upset. Number 2, we got the Raptors. Hey, they're taking Kobe. So now we've got the Shaq, T-Mac. Shaq and T-Mac? Hey, that would have been a great combo, chat. Shaq and T-Mac would have been awesome. But, Kobe and T-Mac, I guess, just because of the name value as well, too. Shaq and Mac? Shaq and T-Mac? Shaq and Mac? Some Shaq and Mac? Some Shaq and Mac and cheese? I don't even know. But Rapto, chat? Hey, Raptor. If we can get this right here. And then number 3, the Grizz. Hey, who's going to bring the... chat, we can't even say the Grizz. That's embarrassing. But, wait, then we said Allen. Number 3 to Vancouver. Hey, does Allen never end up in Miami in 13 and never able to take the... If that's Norris Cole in the corner in 2013, are the Spurs back-to-back title champions? I don't know. But I think Allen, unfortunately, would have kind of got cooked up here in Memphis. No disrespect, but I'm not even certain the talent they bring in there over the next couple of years. They do, of course, I guess, acquire a Gasol brother and then trade him for another Gasol brother. So that's always a little bit confusing, kind of what happened there logistically. I don't know why they, just couldn't draft their own players. But yeah, for Vancouver anyways. Here we go. I guess we are already on the roster that we are looking for. And again, obviously the Grizzlies now have had their good runs starting in 95, 96 is the first season. 15, 14, 19, 8, 22, 23, and 23 wins to start off their career. Again, it definitely took them a second to get their footing here, but that's your footing for the whole league as well, too. So, that's totally understandable. But 50, 45, 49, and then 22, 22, 24, 40. It's just been, kind of the up and down cycle of it there. But, yeah, anyways, he would definitely not have as much help around him here. I guess 96, 97 season when they're 14 and 68. Can you go 14 and 68 with Kobe in 97? I think so. I think it's still pretty possible. But for, I guess, the team, Bryant Reeves, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Anthony Peeler, Greg Anthony, George Lynch, Lee Mayberry, Blue Edwards, Roy Rogers, and then Lawrence Moten rounding out, Aaron Williams rounding out the top 10. I mean, you definitely have an interesting team there. If you're basically, again, swapping out, I guess, Abdur-Rahim more of a power forward, I guess. But if you're swapping out at least the production, it could be kind of similar there as well, too. But, hey, Chad, don't go anywhere because we still have more of the 1996 NBA redraft up next. We're 2 picks in and we're debating a third right now. So don't go anywhere, chat. This is riveting. Right up next. Testing. There we are. We are back. We've got more picks to make for the 1996 NBA redraft. And unfortunately for Allen, he is going to be ending up in Vancouver. Will he star in He Got Game if he still ends up in Vancouver? Or, I guess it's not like Milwaukee is like was he in Milwaukee by the time when did that or was he at UConn when that dropped? Was that 98? I was going to say 99. So he would have been in Milwaukee because, he was in Milwaukee when they were in the Eastern Conference Finals there. The first couple seasons, he was in Seattle 02-03. And what did he get traded for, actually, as well, too? You never think about, like, the Ray Allen to Seattle trade. It is, and, again, it's kind of an underrated sort of career of him being that guy that was almost able to get teams to the title. I guess I don't know what the comp is now for underrated guard. I almost was going to say Jimmy Butler, but I don't know if he was, doing as much on the court as Jimmy Butler would be doing at times. And again, Jimmy Butler's been to two finals as well too against the Lakers in Denver. So that's like a Clyde Drexler kind of situation for, Jimmy Butler there. But for, Allen obviously being I guess honestly more who's Pistons. Speaking of that 90s, early 90s, was it Aguirre? Was the guy who was like the lead guy on the Mavs, putting up a lot of points, and then went to the Pistons, like good role player for him, really helping him contribute. I guess, maybe not quite like De'Aaron Fox this year for the Spurs, but a little like that. If Sacramento had more playoff success, I guess maybe Donovan Mitchell. But Donovan Mitchell's like 27, 28 a game sometimes. It's a little bit less than that. I don't want to say Zach LaVine because again, Ray Allen was in playoff series as well too. 18 playoff games in Milwaukee in 2000, 2001, 11 for Seattle in 04-05 as well. And then obviously the runs that he had in Boston and later teams. But in 11 games, he was 26 a game and then 25 a game in Milwaukee as well too. So almost better in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. I guess that probably even, makes the comp more rare as well too. Because who's that? I guess like Murray. Like Jamal Murray, if Jamal Murray was the lead guy for Denver, maybe a little kind of like that, and obviously maybe a slightly better than Jamal Murray. Devin Booker, I guess is Ray Allen a little Devin Booker-ish in some ways. Again, Booker also did lead a team to the finals though, as well. Hey yo, chat, we'll find the comp here. There has to be a comp. I feel like this is a very comparable player. Cade, though again, Cade. I guess it was like Allen won third team All NBA there. I don't know, a little Halliburton-esque maybe in some respects. Scotty Barnes, maybe it could be like a Scotty Barnes type of situation. Low 20s points a game. If Scotty Barnes was just like going crazy, if Scotty Barnes just had the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals one year, which is maybe not the most crazy thing, and then Scotty Barnes became the third best player on like San Antonio and won a couple titles, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, 11th at MVP voting, third team All NBA in the 2000-2001 season there for Milwaukee. So would a Vancouver Grizzlies Ray Allen star in a Denzel Washington movie? I guess is basically the question that we ask ourselves. But yeah, he goes to Vancouver. Milwaukee then I guess doesn't have to. So I guess would Vancouver just take, well, I guess this is the redraft, right? So would Vancouver take Marbury? But in the redraft, is Marbury 4? Oh, we got to take Steve Nash at some point, right? Hey, shout out to Steve Nash. So Steve Nash goes to Milwaukee in the Ray Allen role eventually. Do they still take Resto Nosferatu with their next pick? I think they do. So we have the Bucks take Steve Nash. But that's another fine one as well. Again, I don't know if it's going to add a title to the franchise history. Unfortunately, I think they can still get to the Eastern Conference, or I guess what Western Conference Finals for Minnesota if they have Steve Nash. Wait, did we get the pick right? I wrote down Milwaukee is where they were 4, right? Not Minnesota. Yeah, okay, wait, Milwaukee was 4. I just clicked on the wrong team as I was going forward here. Actually, we have this other page opened up for a reason. Let's see if we can pull up the 1997 Bucks. The 29-97 Bucks, that team is probably not even going to be around at that point. But the Milwaukee team that finished 30 33 and 49. They still had the purple working in the logo as well too, which is pretty cool. I do gotta say, I don't know if his career overlaps with Michael Redd at all in the 2000s, but it was Allen, Vin Baker, Glenn Robinson, Sherman Douglas, Armin Gillum. So Glenn Robinson, obviously, legend Michigan connections there with his kid as well. Vin Baker, third team All NBA, was very productive in his own right as well. But yeah, I mean, definitely had to build the team up a little bit. 36 wins here for the team. It doesn't look like a crazy name value jump off the page thing that I see right away. 28 wins the next year. Oh, bring in Del Curry and Robert Traylor both. Oh, whole 96 class. Pause. Our guy VDN chat. Whoa. Hey, yo. But Tyrone Hill, I guess, kind of a decent role player as well. Ended up, I think, on that Sixers team that ended up getting the win over him. And they lost to 7 versus Indiana, or 5 versus Indiana, with Glenn Robinson 20 a game that year. Ray Allen 22. Sam Cassell. Oh, 30-year-old Sam Cassell. A little bit different. Tim Thomas 22. Hey, just not quite able to, figure out what we had there. But yeah, I think, again, like if it's Steve Nash in all these teams, I don't know if they're way better. It's like Glenn Robinson just is now second team All NBA if he plays with Steve Nash. I guess you could make that case. But I do think that, again, obviously Ray Allen's scoring ability, very relied on for the Milwaukee team. And I think that, again, would they have been way better with Steve Nash? Probably not. But are they they're still probably better off with Ray Allen as the lead guy, I guess, is the point. And Glenn Robinson, a little Amari-esque, AO, but not quite to the full level. Pause. I think that you're going to get with Amari there in Phoenix as well, too. But we have to take the 2-time MVP off the board at some point. So Steve Nash will go 4. And then Minnesota, I guess they could just take Marbury at 5 anyways, right? The question would be, would you potentially pair Peja or like Jermaine O'Neal as well with Kevin Garnett at that point? But I still like the idea, I guess, of the Marbury, Garnett combo. And I still appreciate some of the guards from this time in the league as well, too. Marbury, Baron Davis, there's another one, Steve Francis. There's just a handful of guards, 6'1", 6'2", a little undersized, but still crazy athletic, could still get on the highlight reel. And in New Jersey, Marbury, 2000, 2001, third team All NBA there as well. He got traded to New Jersey 98, 99 and was 23 a game right after he was moved on from. And I guess, I don't know, was this an early trade request asking to be sent to another team? But he was drafted by him and then traded for, the Ray Allen and the pick. And then in the 3-team trade, Minnesota traded by Minnesota with Chris Carr, Bill Curley to the Jets, and the Bucks trade Terrell Brandon to the Timberwolves, and the Bucks traded Elliot Perry to the Jets, and the Bucks and the Nets traded Brian Evans, 2029 first round pick at the Timberwolves. And it was traded by the Timberwolves, Johnny Newman, Sol Maya Samaki, and then Chris Dudley for Jason Kidd there. But hey, wait, we've got to go back to the box score real quick because he did again have a couple of super productive seasons. And here, the 3-point line, guys not growing up with the 3-point line in the same type of way. But pause. But I think Marbury at 5 for the T-Wolves is fine here, considering that they already committed to that. Now, again, is there a absolute better situation that is possible? Let's see. Wait a second. How do you spell Marbury, chat? Where did it go? I guess, are we on a 99 2000? Okay. Maybe back one more. 28 wins in 98 99. Okay, there we go. Is what we are looking for there. But okay, wait. T-Wolves, we had them with their picking. They're still taking Marbury. in this situation. And then Antoine Walker still probably goes 6 to Boston, right? If we're kind of keeping with the, what did this guy mean to the franchise, all the different type of stuff. I mean, maybe not for everybody, but Antoine Walker's still a important type of basketball guy for that team, being a early 2000s lead player there. So I think we can keep Antoine Walker at 6 and have that make a lot of sense there, even in, whatever this ends up working out for. But let's see here. Wait a second. We were going with, Antoine Walker, number 6 to Boston. Hey, yo, chat. We'll get the caps lock situation, I guess, sorted out at some point here. But, Antoine Walker. Okay, hey, yo, chat. Butchering and spelling. Okay, boom. Celtics top 6 out of the way there. And then Lorenzen Wright for the Clippers. I guess this is where Peja. This is where Peja has to go. This is where we just have to sort by points and make sure we're collecting everybody. I guess Marvin Berry, Stephon Marvin Berry. He was 5th in the class in points. So top 5 draft class points guy is still pretty impressive. First team all points for the draft class. You have Walker, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Peja, Jermaine O'Neal, and Ilgauskas as your second team all points. And then Derek Fisher, Camby, Eric Dampier, Kerry Kittles, Lorenzen Wright. And Lorenzen Wright as your last couple of options there. So, yeah, I mean, Peja definitely consider, and it would only be up 1 spot for him in the redraft. Vancouver, again. Oh, wait, did we have Vancouver earlier? Or what? Oh, that's because we had it sorted differently and they were displayed differently. That is why we would have to go back to this type of situation for showing to obviously make that work. But yeah, Antoine Walker at 6 to the Celtics is good. Okay, boom, we have that written down. The Clippers at 7. I think they have to probably take Jermaine O'Neal. And who do we want to curse more, chat? Ayo, pause. I just mean as like a basketball talent. Obviously, it seems like either of those teams are not the most fortunate places to end up. And Jermaine O'Neal's already had enough, chat. Ayo, he's already been through enough. It just has to be Steve Nash, chat. Ayo, I don't know. But yeah, I think after that, it wasn't much. Oh, Fisher also kind of making a sneaky appearance at the end of this first round here as well. But yeah, that is definitely, leaning toward the pick there. So we probably go with Peja just because of the resume that he does have in the NBA, obviously, for being a part of more winning lineups compared to, again, Jermaine O'Neal did have success, but I do think that he might be another one that is kind of a borderline, number 2, not even a borderline as well, but almost, more actively embracing a sidekick role if he can. But here, let's see. I guess Celtics with Clippers with Peja. We got that typed out right there. And then Cleveland with, or where are we at? I guess we're way up here. New Jersey with Kerry Kittles at number 8. I guess is the other option here. Ilgauskas, Jermaine O'Neal as well, 13. So, obviously pretty similar to a couple of the creators listed above him there. But that would definitely be an interesting version as well too. But here, wait, can we get back to the page and see what's going on? Okay, yeah, wait, so we got Jermaine O'Neal up next. Let's see where he was ending up at this point. Jermaine O'Neal was going to New Jersey. I guess, is Jermaine O'Neal going to play with Jason Kidd eventually? Is that where it's going? Did I get that right? Jermaine O'Neal to New Jersey? Yeah. Hey, yo, we'll put the little suffix there so that way it's just clear. But we got Peja down, chat. Ayo, pause. We need to get Jermaine O'Neal up next. And I think maybe we would take Jermaine O'Neal higher if it was just based on, I don't know, vibes, pure basketball talent, how we think that we could, draft the player that gets transformed. I think all those things would be true. So we would definitely, look at this and be confident. But yeah, this is, a great pick here for New Jersey. Ayo. And shout out, we do love Jermaine O'Neal on the pod. Tony Delk, also at Charlotte. Charlotte had 2 top 20 picks, Kobe and Tony Delk. Did they trade Tony Delk as well too? Imagine, chat, you have Kobe and Tony Delk, and you keep Tony Delk. Hey, yo, no disrespect, no disrespect. I guess, obviously we tread lightly with how we phrase that there, but either way, the fact that you had a choice to make, and clearly definitely went the wrong direction. Again, with all due respect, it is what it is. But yeah, I think we have to double check and make sure they got something for Tony Delk. That is pretty crazy. If all goes well, by the time you get to that point in the draft, I don't know if they would even have players that, from an all-time standpoint, we're looking at going, yeah, that's great. But at least there is that exercise of it, and it is still, great to go back and revisit the league through that lens there. But yeah, we've got Tony Delk drafted 16, traded by Charlotte with Muggsy Bogues to Golden State for B.J. Armstrong. Oh, as well. So maybe they should have just keep Tony Delk. Hey, yo, imagine trading both these guys, chat. That's kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. But signed as free agent, traded by Phoenix, Raji Rogers, Randy Brown, Joe Johnson, Milt Pacino, and a 2002 first-round pick. Traded by Phoenix with Rodney Rogers to Boston for all those people and Joe Johnson. Okay, so he was eventually a part of the Joe Johnson. Tony Delk was a part of the Joe Johnson trade as well. And Tony Delk was good in Boston. Like, he was a very, very good contributor. But, you're bringing in Joe Johnson, who's definitely going to level you up at that point. And, obviously, again, he probably... we do have college numbers here for Delk. Let's see what we got here. 16, 17 a game. Okay, not bad. At Kentucky. But, again, that Kentucky team obviously is super successful. But I don't know if we put it on the list right now. I guess we can always, change it around as well, too. The rules of the game. But still, we got Steve Nash off the board already. Oh, Gaskis is really the last guy that we have from a major scoring standpoint. I guess maybe if you have 10,000. Yeah. Oh, Fisher. We got to get Fisher and Sharif Abdur-Rahim as well, too. And then we had Camby on here. So, wait, let me see. I guess, we kind of got some of that stuff already, in the works for what could happen there. But, yeah, I guess we'll lock in Abdur-Rahim for Dallas, I guess, is the pick at this point. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got the Mavs. Hey, yo, again, the spelling will never, I guess, get corrected. Mavs. We got, who did we just say was there? Guy here. Oh, yeah, Tony Delk was on the board twice for Charlotte. That's what we were looking at there. I guess we never even did see if he ended up getting traded in the actual Charlotte team. Oh, well. It doesn't matter there. And then, yeah, Jermaine O'Neal, 17 to Portland. In real life, Derek Fisher, 24 as well, too. And speaking of Kobe, Derek Fisher obviously hits one of the craziest shots in NBA history there to help swing the NBA playoffs and, potentially give Kobe an extra ring as they go as well, too. So, wait, let's go back to the draft order here and see what we've got. Just to remember correctly, I guess we are in the draft order. We can't remember between points and draft order. Hey, yeah. Kerry Kittles. We have to get Kerry Kittles in this redraft as well, too. Okay, we've got the Pacers. I guess, going to have Ilgauskas. Hey, yo. Can we copy and paste the name here real quick, chat? We might have to. I don't know if we're going to be able to get the spelling 100% correct. Oh, boom. Okay, there we go. We got it. We may have a hyperlink. Oh, the Mavs are getting Ilgauskas, I guess, is essentially what is happening here. And then Fisher goes to the Pacers. Okay, as I guess is the trade. Hey, yeah, okay. The display here is going to be messed up. But I guess for time's sake, it's not even going to let us. But I guess we can use it as a spelling guide. Hey, yeah, let's see here. Okay, Z-Y-D... Zadrunas? There you go. Zadrunas Ilgauskas. As I say, El Bluagauskas trying to guard him, but that might be a pause, chat. Hey, yo. That might be a pause there. I am not going to lie. But yeah, we get the Pacers then with Derek Fisher. Will they get his post-coaching WNBA career as well, too? Derek Fisher will, probably don't want that, to be honest, especially considering Indiana, will get Caitlin Clark in a couple decades as well, too. But yeah, one more Look, oh, Abdur Rahim. Hey, yo, do we got to get Abdur Rahim as well? Okay, so wait, what is the team? I guess he got drafted behind both those guys there. Oh, but the Pacers would be 10, right? Am I wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I guess it's 10. Hey, a shout out to Sharif Abdur Rahim. But let's see what we have got here. We need to, I guess, sim the NBA with these 1996 NBA draft results. And let's see what we get here. Results. What would the league have looked like in 1996 with just some minor tweaks? Again, obviously Iverson is the biggest one here. The ultimate big man versus perimeter butterfly effect, dropping Zydrunas Ilgauskas into the fundamental. Oh, is that all I dropped in there, chat? Hey, yo, I thought I dropped in the whole draft class. Hey, yo. Turns out I just Ilgauskas is the only thing that he's the only player in the league in 2026. I guess. Okay, wait a second. My bad. We got I guess boom. Can we do a quick copy and paste here, chat? Oh, okay. Devious. Let's go. Let's go with these new top 10s. Okay, boom. We got Iverson getting smoked in the East is essentially what this draft is. So yeah, we already had the Kobe to the Raptors situation here. Iverson is still headed to Philly. Sixers Raptors rivalry becomes legendary, I guess, in 2001. AI, I love all the AI versus Vince Carter, AI versus Kobe. It's like, oh, Chad, setting us up for future talk, isn't it? Is Allen Iverson an industry plant to get us used to talking about AI? And now it'll just be second nature when it's already taken over. But Celtics continuity, Antoine Walker goes back to Boston as well. The Celtics employ number 8 with Paul Pierce a few years later, keeping Boston a steady Eastern Conference playoff contender. Though again, I think maybe with some of the power shifting, they do lose with Kobe in the East. They do lose a little steam there. I'm not gonna lie. The Nets build off a wall instead of Kerry Kittles. They grab 17-year-old Jermaine O'Neal, and yeah, he would be paired with Jason Kidd. So that would be honestly one of the most interesting what ifs as well too, out of this whole draft, because he was a guy who was like, is he ever gonna get to that type of number one option on a team? But to what level is he going to be competing? You got Duncan, Garnett, Dirk, Shaq, Chris Webber, like all these great forward centers of the 2000s, like one of the best areas in the league for those hybrid power forward center, guys, and Jermaine O'Neal is a part of that. But to have a point guard as good as Jason Kidd, now those Pacers teams were set up, and I mean, were competitive, and maybe it was the overlap of him getting there at the right time as well too. But yeah, Jermaine O'Neal in Brooklyn is a lot of fun. O'Neal and Richard Jefferson maybe as well. Steve Nash in Milwaukee instead of Ray Allen. Bucks draft Nash. Ray Allen was incredible in Milwaukee, but Nash completely changed their identity. He unlocks Big Dog Robinson and Vin Baker. See, I mean, the analytics just love Steve Nash. It is what it is. Steve Nash wins 3 MVPs. Stephon Marbury and Kevin Garnett in Minnesota. Starboy heading to Timberwolves actually happened via draft day trade in real life. Blah blah blah. New look Western Conference. Ray Allen on the Grizzlies. Kings never exist. Page to the Clippers. This is a massive blow to the early 2000s Kings without Page's historic three-point shooting. The greatest show on court. Kings never fully materialized. I don't know. Did they get that nickname, or was that one Sacramento blog that named him that? I don't think that's lived on. But Peja brings elite spacing to the Clippers, and that makes them about it. I guess like Peja and Elton Brand in the 2000s maybe, and then Fisher to the Pacers. Again, we're kind of getting less impactful at that point. Hey, yo, what's this Twin Towers reference we're making? Twin Towers of Texas. By 1998, Dallas pairs young Dirk Nowitzki with 7-foot Big Z. So you got Ilgauskas and Dirk. I mean, that is pretty fun. I guess with no Steve Nash, you don't really have anybody setting those guys up. I guess I don't know if Dirk is running like, like big man pick and rolls with Ilgauskas. But at least the front line is pretty tough there. Maybe is Ilgauskas fouling Wade in the 2006 finals the same amount as the other guys? I don't know. It says because the Lakers never get Kobe, Shaq's dynasty never happens. Instead of the early 2000s are defined by a brutal recurring finals matchup. Kobe's Raptors versus Tim Duncan Spurs. Kobe wins his first MVP in Canada around 2001. I guess we already kind of went through that as well too. So, once again, the Spurs remain the best team of the 2000s. It is what it is. But the 1996 draft is still obviously a great draft to go back and look at. It doesn't matter what you change in NBA history. The Spurs are inevitable, Chad. Hey, yo. they will be the team that is the winner, I guess, at the end of the day as well. But yeah, obviously, uh, let's see. Can we just get like a season chat? Hey yo. I guess, do we know the Spurs roster? How are the Spurs affected by this? Is always going to be the butterfly effect question that has to be asked. Let's go with give us a new Nets timeline with Kidd and O'Neal. Unfortunately, they're probably going to end up winning against the Spurs in the finals against Tim Duncan. Hey, we'll see what happens there. Focusing on real life, they drafted Kerry Kittle's real solid player, but knee injuries cutting the prime by sending Jermaine O'Neal to Brooklyn at number 8 in this alternate timeline. You completely alter the franchise trajectories a year before they ever make to the NBA Finals. Hear how the new Nets timeline unfolds. And I think for some reason I just visualize it like Jermaine O'Neal in the Brooklyn jerseys. Like, it just kind of works. But I mean, the Portland jerseys as well too. I mean, Jermaine O'Neal always played in good fits. Portland and Indiana, like iconic 2000s basketball fits. But the Calipari, whoa, whoa, but whoa, pause. I don't know if pause, whatever there. Hey, yo. But the Nets just hired Calipari as a head coach. Calipari loves recruiting and developing elite talent. Instead of being buried on the bench, O'Neal is brought in as the definitive future of the franchise. Young J.O. pairs up with prime Jason Williams, who is an absolute rebounding machine. O'Neal plays limited but meaningful minutes off the bench as a showcase, blah, 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 blah. Unlocking the beast early. Again, by his third, fourth season in real life, J.O. is still waiting for his chance in Portland. This timeline, this has him entering his early 20s as a full-time starter in New Jersey. It's the Stephon Marbury arrival, so he's back as well, too, in the timeline. In 1999, the Nets trade for Stephon Marbury. Instead of Steph playing in a lottery squad with no front court help, he gets rapidly ascending 2010 rebound defensive anchor Jermaine O'Neal. It says East most dynamic duo. So it becomes, I guess, Marbury and Jermaine O'Neal is the combo here. It says in real life, the Nets famously traded Marbury to Phoenix for Jason Kidd in the summer of 2000, which immediately launched them back to back. In this timeline, this trade still happens, but instead of Jason Kidd inheriting a team where Kenyon Martin is the best big man, Kidd inherits 23-year-old realized superstar with Jermaine O'Neal. So the fresh look 2002 Nets. Hey, yo, we got Jason Kidd, still Kerry Kittles again, I guess, because the AI didn't want to do any work. Acquired via different mid-90s asset trade in this universe. Or Lucius Harris. Okay, shout out. And then Keith Van Horn, Richard Jefferson, Jermaine O'Neal at power forward center. So wait, can it be Kidd? Oh, Kittles either way. So Kidd, Kittles, Horn, Jefferson, and Jermaine O'Neal is your 5. Final glory, breaking the curse. In the real timeline, the Nets made the 2002 and 3 finals, got absolutely dismantled by Shaq and Tim Duncan because they had no help. So you give them O'Neal. I guess it's kind of a little bit of a fact there. In 2002 versus the Lakers, Lakers don't have Kobe as well either. That's right, he's in Toronto. I guess then they didn't trade him or anything like that. Kidd was orchestrating, and Jermaine O'Neal was playing in an MVP caliber championship. In the paint, the Nets win the 2002 NBA championship. So wait, the Nets won in 2002, and then we had the Raptors in 2003 here, chat? Hey, yo. So, we hate to see it. But wait, let's go back. Did I overshoot it? So, he wins his first MVP in 2001 and brings a championship around 2001. So what would be NBA champs from 1996 to 2006? Those 10 years there. 2016, chat? Hey, yo. 20 years of ripple effects for the 1996 NBA draft. Why not? It will always affect the NBA history. So let's see what we got here. 1996, Bulls era, they still win 3. No change there. So I guess Kobe and T-Mac and Vince Carter are obviously not able to assemble quite enough for just this, in time enough for just this three-peat to be stopped. Then San Antonio still wins in 99 without Kobe in the West. And in 2000, back-to-back. Hey, yo, immediately locking in the dynasty territory right away. And then Toronto in 01. Apex Mamba season, Kobe Bryant unlocks his full potential against Damon Stoudemire, alongside Damon Stoudemire. And then in 2002, Brooklyn. It says this is Kidd and Jermaine O'Neal's team. And then San Antonio again in 2003, the Pistons in 4, the Raptors again in 5. By now, T-Mac and Carter draft assets fusions are fully active around Kobe. they outpace the defense Pistons and win a grueling defensive game series against San Antonio. And then in '06, Dallas. Instead of Heat's, I guess Ilgauskas is what Dallas needed to win the '06 finals against Wade. And then San Antonio in 7 still stays the same. So we got Duncan now with 5 titles before we get to the 2010s. 1, 2, 3. No, just 4 titles still. But Nash's Milwaukee Boom and Boston Core. Oh, Nash gets a finals in '09. I feel like they're just saying that because we're talking about it. Hey, yo, Boston wins in '08. Antoine Walker is still there, a veteran piece alongside Paul Pierce. I think they kind of needed Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. Not going to lie. And then Milwaukee in '09. Steve Nash has completely revolutionized Milwaukee, chat. Hey, yo. He is operating a high-octane offense with Ray Allen level shooters around him. I mean, what? Just one of the greatest perimeter shooters of all time, and got 4 of them on their team. I don't know. 2010, Kobe again. His final masterpiece in Canada. I love the fact that Kobe has stayed in Canada his entire career here after being drafted on the Raptors. He secures his 3rd championship for the franchise, cementing himself as national hero. So 3 finals. Kobe, rest in peace, can actually be a better hero than Justin Bieber or Drake from Canada. Hey, yo, Ryan Reynolds. But 2010, Dirk and Big Z. Dirk gets his 2nd ring. So I guess, not that Dallas fans wouldn't have minded a 2nd title there in '06, but that would have diluted the 2010 finals. Like, is Dirk better off winning the best ring of all time, or winning 2 rings in 2006 and 16? I'm not really certain, but I guess we'll just have to see. And then 11, yeah, the Dallas wins. 12 Miami, 13 Miami, 14 Golden State, 14 San Antonio, 15 Golden State, and then 16 Cleveland. So that still stays pretty much the same at that point. Ultimate championship count, San Antonio still has 5. Chicago with 3, Toronto with 3, Dallas with 2, Miami with 2, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Detroit, Boston, Golden State, Cleveland. Hey, yo, obviously a lot of great names, a lot of great history to remember. But there we go, chat. The league in 1996, if the draft was done right. Pause. But yeah, obviously, again, rest in peace to Kobe. Rest in peace to the great. We have the NBA draft next week, so we'll see. It is shaping up to be a good one, at least going into the draft. Of course, we'll have to wait even longer, pause, to see how good it actually is. But it does seem like, the top 3 is incredibly talented, and then the tiers after that are, got some good names in them for sure. Pause. But we will be back Friday for the live stream, then Sunday as well too. And then next Tuesday is the NBA draft, if I am not mistaken, Tuesday or Wednesday. So we will be live during that. Of course, you can follow us here on the YouTube for the watch along there. You can hit us up on the podcast feeds and on Instagram as well too, if you want to send us a little message that way. And we have got Ayo, chat. Amari just skying high in the replay right now. Okay, Ayo. Like I said, we'll be back later this week. You can follow the socials. You can stay tuned to the YouTube, and we will see you later. Peace.